And we are live for another GRAPPL FPL Club. I'm Benno. Welcome all. Andy's here, James is here, Chris is here in portrait mode. It's all a bit different. It's dark here. What's going on? It's winter. Change is coming. How are we, lads?
Very well, very well.
Very good.
Doing well.
We all bedding in for the long hair, cold winter. I was just saying there, we're a couple of minutes late going live. It's my fault. I was getting me tea on. I had some lovely chicken breasts in the ready to go. I had some nice rice, some veg, and I just decided it's getting too cold, so I threw some chips and hash browns in the oven. Put some sausage and beans on the pan. Winter dinner, that was. Not very grown up, but you know.
No.
I don't even think your kids would eat that, Jamesy.
I'd happily eat that. Sounds like a lovely dinner, to be honest with you. A few beans on the side, anyway. You'd want something wet on the plate. A few beans, you'd be laughing.
That's it. That's what I've gone with. Got little beans and sausage mix from Aldi. You know, add a bit of hot sauce on the side to give it a bit of flavour. You know, try to be. I'm not exactly culinary genius here. If Matty's listening, he'll be giving me grief about this on something in the week. But, it's winter. That's what you got to do. I think it's getting cold now. Heating's on. It's one of them. Andy's got his hoodie on. I think it's official.
Well, I have put my eating on in the morning, and I'm just like, oh God, no! This is only going on for 2 minutes, and then turn the basket.
That's it. You got to be tactical with it, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've still got my dad on my shoulder, like fucking turn that off. Costing me money.
Oh, that's it. It'd be like that during the World Cup. We go in the pub just for a bit of heating, you know, just to get a bit of body warm with the people in there and such. But no, it's great to have you all back on, lads. It's been another fun week of FPL. I think it's another week of content creators being in the mud based on the content that I've watched today. But how's your week been, Jamesy? How have you been, mate?
Good, yeah. Good week on the football pitch. We had the Ireland women's team qualified for the World Cup for the first time in their history this year in Ireland. So that was a nice thing over here.
No kick-off at all.
No, very uncontroversial. Yeah. Then got caught singing a naughty song in the dressing room afterwards. Got in a bit of trouble about that, but
naughty.
Yeah. I don't think it was naughty at all. But some people think it was naughty.
I saw one of your mates at the Liverpool game with an Irish flag there in support. I think Jamesy I think you've got something in common with us on that. When there's an English newsreader trying to mansplain
oh my God,
English Irish relations,
woman.
Isn't a good idea.
God. Yeah. Do you know what? It was like before that interview. It was a bit like, people were saying, they shouldn't have done it. They, should apologize. And then we'll all move on and it'll be over. And then he did that fucking interview and it was all like, actually, fuck them. Don't care anymore. Fuck them. They were dead right. They should have done it. So he kind of winded us all up, like when we were all kind of a bit like, they probably shouldn't have done that. They shouldn't have recorded it and put it out or whatever, So yeah. But look, yeah. As I said, no, I have the amazing achievement. It was a great match the other night. Really good. Brilliant. Great stand. Did you see the goal?
I saw like a video of it, like a quick clip.
Wow, it was like really good pass through. And remember the way Romario used to finish goals, used to kind of toe poke them right into the very corner. Just really good finish, So it's a great night. And as I said, once all this fuss dies down, we'll have something to watch in the summer. I think the World Cup is over. It's in Australia, New Zealand in the summer next year. So might have some early starts. But it's great for me because I have two daughters here who are out every Saturday on the football pitch with their teams, you know what I mean? And it's really good for them, you know what I mean, to have female role models and that kind of thing. And I've been teaching them the lyrics to that Rebel song as well during the week, so they'll I'm joking.
You'll be driving to practice with the Wolf Tones playing in the car. Yeah.
Have you got your tickets to the Haaland house show yet, Jamesy?
I still haven't got them, but they're still. I thought they'd go like hotcakes, but they're still available, so I'm okay. Yeah, and I think I could get one anyway. I know someone who has a season ticket, so I'd be sorted either way.
I think I saw the cheapest was about €40.
Yeah,
the game, so not too bad.
Okay, yeah, I don't think that's too bad. I think I could probably get a nice free 6 seat of someone if I had to as well. So
yeah, I
should be able to. The only thing is, yourself, friend. It's a friendly match. I think the week before the World Cup, there's a strong chance he'll have a tight hamstring that week and be sitting back in Manchester resting anyway. You know what I mean? So, they've booked the match, but it's like booking a big star from America. Will he actually show up on the day?
I'd have thought they'd have probably had it in the contract for the match that he has to play 45 minutes if he is legitimately, unless he's legitimately out or something.
Yeah.
So I've seen that before.
as Meltzer said today, you're supposed to put it out there when people have paid money and big stars aren't showing up, but they don't always do it.
No, that's true enough. Yeah.
They need that asterisk in the bottom of the poster, don't they?
The way that thing that meme that was doing the round, like somebody had the Brock Lesnar one that I put in our group chat, the Haaland's 18-year-old cousin scored. Did it start? Is the truth at the start of it though? Has it just turned into a meme, or was it just made up from the start that Haaland has this killer cousin or nephew or something like that?
Yeah. So some Twitter account just posted a grainy video of Brad Potts playing for Preston, scoring a Haaland-esque goal. I think it was against Luton from a couple of weeks back. It's like a kind of like that Cancelo to Haaland, like long ball pass on the volley sort of thing that he scored in the Champions League a few weeks back. And it was just Brad Potts from Preston, but because they'd like kind of made the picture a bit grainy, people were just like, "Oh, look at this from the Norwegian, what's it called, the Super Electric League or something." And you're just like, what do people think football looks like in Norway? Because it's not Deepdale. Deepdale's not exactly a massive ground, but there's not exactly a load of pictures.
They have proper cameras in Norway as well. They have technology,
it was just very odd. It was just like it got so much traction out of nowhere, and they were like, "Oh, this is his 18-year-old kid." It's just like, it's Brad Potts who's most famous for shitting on the bonnet of somebody's car. It's just like scores about 5 goals a season for Preston. It's not like
there is a cousin though, because typically I'm like 48 hours behind every meme, so I was like, okay, but is there a cousin who scored 60 goals in 30 games in Norway after? So I did Google the name that was on those tweets, and that there is a guy. But he's got he plays in the 3rd division in Norway. He is his proper cousin, and he has I think it's 9 goals in 28 games. So that there is a guy that exists, but he's playing at a very low level with a fairly mediocre scoring record. Yeah, so
I love the meme that it's like Game of Thrones. You know what I mean? And they're all like Targaryens. They've all got blonde hair. They all look like a bit like the best ones I saw were the Brock Lesnar one. There's a Boris Johnson one that I almost fell for. Like that one, I was like, is that really his cousin? And then no, that's Boris Johnson when he was younger in an old football top.
Who's Brock having the kickabout in that picture with? Is it Orton?
I've never
seen like Orton. Yeah,
I remember seeing that picture before of him kicking a football around at backstage at some show.
I think that was at the Saudi show, one of the first ones.
Yeah. I know it's him, Orton, and there's someone else that you wouldn't like. I wouldn't expect Randy Orton to even know what soccer is like. You know what I mean? Redneck American, but yeah. I'd love to actually see what kind of skills he has.
Yeah. I thought it'd probably be one of the Euros, Sheamus, or Miro's a big
that's what you'd expect,
guy. McIntyre.
Bubba
Ray Dudley used to be a big one, but he's probably not there at that time.
I never know with him. Bully Ray seems like one of those. I support Liverpool, but do you really? He's
he used to be quite knowledgeable on Serie A. Because he used to be quite a big AC Milan fan. Yeah, he used to post quite a lot about it. Okay. And then I think it's kind of fell off, but yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, because it's always like that. It's like when, because I've mentioned it before on the main GRAPPL pod, when D'Lo came to Liverpool and Infinite Promotions that was run by Zach Gibson at the time. His wage was I don't even think there was a dollar amount involved. He got a hotel stay and tickets to the Liverpool Chelsea game on the Saturday afternoon. And we spoke to him after the show, and he was like, "No, legitimately, that's what it was. They paid for me to have a tour as well. I had a great day." He was chatting to me and my mate Gary about the offside rule, and he wasn't happy about. I can't even remember what the score was that day, but I was like, "Okay, he's obviously a genuine Liverpool fan. Yeah. He's literally that was his wages. He get to go see Liverpool."
Yeah. I remember speaking with MVP in a pub in Preston after one of the shows there. He's a big United fan, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was the next day was a cup final, Wembley, that United were playing in, and he was all up for watching it somewhere and
nice.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That's it. Are there any interactions with footy fans in the Stanley Arms, Andy, over the years? Just MVP? Anyone else?
None that I can think of. It's just the locals of Preston, and you don't really want to go near them.
I was going to say, it's not as appetizing as a Preston ticket. Maybe to Wade Barrett, and that's it.
Who does Flutter support? Is he a Preston fan?
He likes his Man United, but he has been spotted at Preston games when I've seen his Facebook. So it's either of those two teams he's into.
Okay, fair enough.
Did you ever follow them away in Europe, I wonder?
Romania.
Was there?
Romania.
Romania.
Oh, he's gone quiet on that front. That poor old fella's definitely just been left
Still
behind.
out there, yeah.
Poor Harry.
No one's checked on him. Harry, that was his name, wasn't it? No one's checked. Oh, well, poor fella. But how's your week been, Andy? I saw you were Rochdale did do well at the weekend. Are you putting in our group chat? Good little result.
Yeah, no, they beat Newport County. That's our second win of the season. Both wins have been away from home. So now we're back at home on Saturday against the mighty Barrow. So hopefully we can actually get a home win and move away from the bottom two. But since we got a new manager in Jim Bentley, we seem to have got more solid at the back now. It's just up front. We need to start putting them away now. But yeah, it's always doom and gloom being a Rochdale fan.
Have you ever played? Is there like a fantasy equivalent for Football League? I know there was definitely for the Championship.
I know.
It's not GRAPPL, but it's a name like that where it's like
I'm trying to think of it,
there is
Gripper
name,
or
isn't
something.
It? Yeah, like that,
There is one for the Championship. Nothing. You can't go as down as League Two and the Conference and all. God, you'd be struggling. I struggle with bloody Premier League using all my chips in bloody 10 weeks. So never mind.
It'd be good though, wouldn't it? If you could find some young lad in like League Two who's like putting away 40 a season or something like that, get him in replace him for Haaland or something. Could be a
Gaffer.
Maybe that should be the rule. Gaffer, that was it. Yeah, Gaffer. I remember that one. Yeah. Oh well. Hopefully they'll keep that going for you there, Andy. So I'm always like you, and when Martin Bushby's in the chat as well, letting us our Blades are getting on. It's always interesting. Always a nice break amongst our FPL related chat. But I was going to ask before we move on, Chris. I'm enjoying the background there, the Blackburn shirt. What's the player in the background you've got there on the?
That's a Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was
it's not a 41. No.
Has he lost his phone, or has he got connections?
Yeah.
Is he all right? Is that where he's been?
It's the most he's been online in the last.
I was going to say he responds as much as the real one does. Yeah. So. No, I used to collect those little football figures though, with the big heads. Like earlier.
The Rude Ullit one with the dreadlocks. If you chuck that at someone, you kill them.
I remember them because there was the little ones with the big heads, and there was like the smaller ones where it was like the full play. It looked like the top of a footy trophy. I don't know if you remember those ones, like where it was like a green bottom, and then it was like their full body, like in kicking motion.
Oh yeah, and then had their name printed around the green bit, at the front.
Corinthian figures, Joe says for the other ones. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, they're the problem. Get some of them. We'll dress that background up, mate. It's coming.
I used to have like a Sabutio style game, but it was like magnetic, and you'd hit the top of the head of the player.
I remember that.
It kicked the ball.
Yeah.
I got that for Christmas and broke it within a month.
Yeah, I used to try and change the figures to those other figures, so you could play with an actual team as like a thing. Never really worked.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was the sort of thing. And had the Sabutio on the table that you'd iron. About the only thing I'd ever iron.
That's how we all learned how to use an iron, I think, wasn't it?
Just iron your pitch out, leave it out there, staff around.
Play for about 5 minutes, and then oh, it's awful. Yeah.
It was like a pride in the neighborhood. Got a new set.
It's terrible.
It was a shite game. The fun for me was setting up the stadium and getting the scoreboard, and then I'd convince my brother to play with me, and after 10 minutes, the two of us would go, this is fucking shite. And then someone had started, because we used to have it on the floor. My mother wouldn't let us put it on the big table. She was like, no, that's my table. I need that. So we'd be on the floor, but then someone would stand on one of the pieces. So you'd have players held together with plastic, with blue tack and all this. Like it was just
sellotape around the little legs.
The goalkeeper would be broken. Notice the goalkeeper had to stick out the back, and you could.
So I remember getting the Blackburn team, and like the box would say Blackburn Rovers, and then they say Grasshoppers. I was like, what's a grasshopper? Like, who's it? And I ended up looking at it, like, a Swiss team that plays in the same colours as Blackburn. So they became my foreign team for ages when I was a kid, because they just wore the same kit as Blackburn. Just like,
Double dip. I love that. Yeah, there was always like me and my brother would play, and we wouldn't. We just flick it, but there was like techniques to it and stuff that like you'd always have that one lad in the neighborhood who knew exactly what he was doing and knew exactly where your hands had to be and the way you did it. It was fun to have the players and the kits on it. That's all it was about.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Is it still going, Sabuti, or is it just like?
Oh, I imagine so.
I think it's had a revival kind of, and I think there's still like tournaments for proper serious players as well. Like,
You still saw people collecting like the sticker books and stuff, like the Panini books and stuff like that. And all like that. Our generation. There's like a whole collectors like side hustle going on, isn't there somewhere? Like their accounts and podcasts and stuff. Definitely, but
I'm sure there'll be one out. I'm sure there'll be a sticker magazine out for this World Cup coming up. Probably is.
Oh yeah, we'll do. Yeah, we'll start this. If there isn't one already, we'll start the sticker magazine podcast. Maybe that's coming to grapple.
The podcast where everything, isn't it?
Yeah. But I suppose we should talk some FPL and what we're here for the last week or so. And as far as this week goes, we're obviously gonna have a little look back at game week 10. We're gonna look forward to game week 11 at the weekend, and believe it or not, lads, blank game week 12 is upon us too, coming up next Wednesday. So that'll be before we next record. So we'll give that some talk as well. But before we get there, let's have a look at how we all did in game week 10 and getting used to this. Jamesy sat at the top of both the correspondent league, and we'll get into the main league in a little bit, mate. But 71 points. Very, very, very solid score there, and another good performance out there for your lads this week, mate.
Yeah, it was a funny kind of a week. For a while, it was looking a bit ropey, and then kind of the Arsenal game, kind of on that was the Sunday, wasn't it? That kind of brought things up for me again. Yeah, and I'll go through the team there again. Guaita in goal. Didn't keep a clean sheet, but it was funny. They added an extra point for him about 2 hours, because I looked at my rank and then I checked my rank again later on that night, and I was like, I've gone up like 6,000 places here or something like that. Do you know the way they count 3 saves and you get an extra point? They must have gone back and found a third save he made or something like that. So they added in the third. So got the little bonus point. It feels with him, I'm not going to get many clean sheets. So to get 3 points out of him kind of feels like a bit of a win, to be honest.
He's terrible as a goalkeeper, James. He's all over.
I watched them play on Sunday. It was Leeds they were playing, and especially in the first half, he was rope. Like my big fear with him is actually that they'll drop him, because they do have Butland, who they signed, or I know Sam Johnston that they signed in the summer. So it's a bit like, and I know they dropped Guaita a few times at random points during the season last year. So there's a part of me worries he'll just get dropped, and then it'll be down to Mr. Ward on the bench to save the day for me, which isn't exactly the greatest prospect in the world. Cancelo was the big point scorer of the week, 18 points. Goal, assist. We've doubted him a few times on this podcast during the season and thought, is he as much of an asset as he would like? But he keeps turning up with the goods, doesn't he? James, bit of a troll. Reece James, bad week for him to own him, really. Like he didn't start, and then I had Andreas there for 6 points on the bench. If they had kept him on the bench, I would have got an extra 6 points. But no, brought him on, I think, for 9 minutes or something like that at the end for a 1-pointer. Trippier, sick of saying it every week. I think my favorite FPL asset of the season. Had him since week 1. If he doesn't get a clean sheet, he'll get an assist. He'll get bonus points. 7 every single week. It's like 5 points, 6 points, just steady Eddie. I think he's the third or second best defender in the game now at this point. So yeah, just as I said, I think my favorite FPL player of the season is him so far. Guehi. He ended up, I had a bit of a dilemma, would I start him or Andreas because of the Mitrovic injury. So I put Guehi as my first sub in the end. Mitrovic didn't play. 1-pointer. They conceded a goal. I think he got a yellow card as well. So not much out of him, unfortunately. Zaha, 5 points. Got an assist for the second goal for Palace. Watched the game. He was a little bit isolated, kind of stuck out. He was playing very wide, stuck out on the wing. Not hugely involved in the game. So again, happy enough in a game like that he'll come out with an assist. De Bruyne, same as that. City had a good win, and playing Southampton, you'd maybe hope for him to get more than the one assist, but you know, we take the assist, I suppose. Madison blank, a little bit disappointing. I think who was it they played? It was
Last time.
Oh, they had a disaster. They lost to Bournemouth, yeah, which you wouldn't have expected. After all of us kind of thinking they turned the corner after the Forest game on the Monday night, kind of back down to earth with a bang for people who own Leicester players. Just a 1-pointer there. Martinelli, brilliant. You know, there would have been a dilemma in the last few weeks. Should we have been letting him go, considering that he'll be blanking in 12? But really happy I kept a hold of him. You know, scored a goal, got an assist, 2 bonus points. Really, like, just, you know, if you are going to sell him for game week 12, you'd really want to get him straight back in, because he just looks so dangerous at the moment. Him and Jesus swapping.
I feel
over
like with
back.
him, with Martinelli, I think it's almost like there's like this feeling that we're all wanting an excuse to get rid of him. Like we're all like, it's not going to last forever. You know, it's good. The week's going to come where we're going to get rid of Martinelli. And I didn't watch the Liverpool game live, but just watching the highlights, I was like, why do I want him to start failing? Like, just carry on. It's fine. As far as value goes and what he costs,
for the price,
like,
I was going to say, like, points per million. You know, however you want to work that metric out, Martinelli must be the top of the shop on that. Like,
has to be.
You've seen it, like, if you've had him from the start of the season or like earlier enough on, you've seen the price rise that he's had. I was late on it, and I've still had a price rise from him. So, I mean, we were discussing a couple of weeks ago the best people to keep, just in terms of keeping your money like in your team, Cancelo, Martinelli, and Haaland, because they've risen so much. And while if you've got Martinelli, you've probably got Jesus. I'd have thought Jesus is 8 million now. He was 8 million at the start of the year. You're not losing money on him, so he'd be you want to ship out.
Gotta be. He's gotta be. Definitely. Like, as far as like the season goes, he's like, he might even be a season keeper at this point, you know. Even
I'd have thought so. Yeah, I can't see Arsenal not being at the top end of the league at the end of the season, sort of thing. So
think about it. It's the money as well, isn't it? It's the money we've all got wrapped up in him as well, James, isn't it? It's one of them. It's like, do you really want to have to buy him back? You know, what's the selling price going to be? Like 6.3? Like, no.
I think you'd lose 0.3 on him, which, like, you know, that mightn't sound like much, but if you're on a wild card in game week 17 after the World Cup, and you're 0.3 million down, or you're 0.1 million short, and you've sold Martinelli, you'll be kicking yourself, you know. And
6.3 is selling price.
And 6.6 to buy back. So, like, why would you?
I hate those rules, by the way. I understand it, but it's like, it's such a killer, isn't it? It's like, I almost wish it was just 1 for 1. You know, you sell them. You've made that 0.6 profit, and that's what he goes for. Like, I know there's a logic to it to control the market, but
And if, like, look at his fixtures there, you have them up there. Like, look at all those green matches after the World Cup again. Like, why? Just keep him. Just keep him. When you do the wild card, don't even sell him out of your team. Just keep a hold of him. He's like, when you watch him as well, he's just him and Jesus are just so lively and just so involved in everything that Arsenal do, that, you know, goals, assists, the whole lot, shots on goal. It's just, as I said,
you're not going to do better for the money, are you?
And like next season, he's going to be 8.5. He's going to be one of those 8 million midfielders at the very least, you know. So enjoy it while you can, while he's so cheap, you know. And then back to the team, Haaland. Is that a disappointing haul? 6 points feels like a disappointing.
We'll ask Andy in a bit.
We'll ask Andy in a bit. Exactly. Got the 1 goal. Had other chances, you know. I think he hit the post, and he had there's another sitter that he missed that you'd expect him to put away, and then Jesus again, you know, just tipping away, always getting an assist here. I think he was fouled for the penalty, wasn't that it? And that's how his assist came about. Yeah. But again, just so involved, you know what I mean? And I will have to sell him just to get a full team out for game week 12. But like, he'll be, as I would hope that if not in 13 or 14, I'll be getting him straight back in, because again, for the price and for the money, the centre forward in the form team in the league, you know what I mean? If you discount Man City, I don't see. And with all the other striker options, like we were talking a few weeks ago about lots of striker options, and all of a sudden I'm looking at, well, who do I sub in for Jesus for a week? And it's all looking a little bit slim. So I mean, I'll be getting him straight back into my team as soon as I can.
That's it. That's going to be that's more the question going to 12, isn't it? Who can you afford to ship out for the week, accept the price loss, and bring back? if it's even worth it to go in with 11 men.
Thankfully, he's okay because he was so highly owned at the start, and then he had a couple of quiet-ish weeks. He slipped a little bit, so he's 8 million. So you can buy him back for the sale price anyway. So you're actually going to be fine with him, which is great. You know,
makes him the candidate for it, doesn't it? Just it's probably him by default.
That's it. Yeah, but I think straight back in, you know. And then the frustrating thing was the Andreas Pereira 6-pointer. Like I really agonized over who to put first sub, Guehi or Andreas. I thought that with Mitrovic out, that Andreas wouldn't have as much chances to get assists or whatever, but actually he stepped up and scored the first goal for Fulham. So that's the one disappointing thing of the week that I didn't have him first sub instead. But lesson learned there. I think from now on maybe I'll have him first sub instead of Guehi unless Crystal Palace have a really good fixture. Neco Williams. Worried about him because he didn't start on Monday against Villa. They played Serge Aurier at right back. They've gone to a back four, and I think they think defensively maybe Aurier might be a little bit better than him. And he actually played very well as well. Like I know Williams did come on with 15, 20 minutes to go and looked okay, but on the balance of play, you would probably keep Aurier in the team if you're the Forest manager again. So that's a bit of a headache for me in 12 if I kind of need my 3 subs to be starting. I've got injury worries as well. So if Neco Williams is going to be on the bench, that's another player who's probably going to get a 1-pointer at most, you know.
But what would you really be expecting much more out of him, even if he did start?
That's true, and in fact, it could end up that they get hammered, and he gets like if the player who plays gets a -1 or a -2, you'll be actually thinking grand, maybe. So you're
exactly.
You're right.
Like, if he comes on as like the guy to try and change the game in the last 20 minutes, because he's like more of an attacking guy, you know, it could be beneficial for him. Like you say, he could miss conceding 3 goals, and he might end up getting an assist.
That's actually true. He might be safe from that -1.
I feel much better now, Chris. That's great.
I think with a player like him, you've always got to play.
You're
like
a good friend, Chris.
Turning negatives into positives. There's always a player like that at FPL each year, isn't there? Like for his price, you know, the excitement we got early days, we've had our money's worth out of him, haven't we? At this point, it's like, you know what, we'll take it. He'll be a legend for this FPL season, and anything else kind of feels like it's going to be a bonus. It's like, you know, players at that price don't often stick around, do they? You know, it's just, you know, we had a good run, but yeah, those points off the bench might be worth the weight in gold, James.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a big thing with like 5 subs. Like if you get the impact player in a bad team, you know, you miss the bulk of the negative, and you might get the little bit of the positive. So,
or having defenders in a good team where they like we saw with Trippier and Fabian Schär the last day, they get subbed off, and then they can see the goal, and they're like, brilliant, happy days, you know. So you start using the 5 subs to your advantage here, like
if you immediately remove 3 of your main defenders from your team, you surely expect to concede a goal straight away, don't you? Like, it's such a bizarre move. It's just, I'll take both centre backs off and the wing back. Yeah,
he had them all in his team. That's what he was doing.
They're all playing.
Yeah. He had a draft, and he was coming up against one of his best mates, and he was like, "I have the 3 lads in my defence here. You're going to pull them all off for clean sheets." The guy against him had Pope in goal or something.
Are you worried about Mitro, Jamesy?
I'm sure we'll get to talking more about next week. But it's sure, classic FPL Twitter. There was they're trying to get photographs of Fulham out on the training pitch, but apparently today Fulham recorded some video for the Fulham FC channel, and Mitrovic was there in the full kit. But they showed a clip of him walking back to the dressing room. And there's been a big debate on FPL Twitter: is he limping or not? It looks to me like he's hobbling down the tunnel there. There's even polls up like, was that a limp or is that just? And then people found videos online of the way he normally walks, and we're like, no, he always walks like that. He kind of drags his leg behind him a little bit. It's going to be fine. So it's like, you're really in the deep waters when you're doing that kind of shit. Like, you know?
He's there dragging his leg like he's Ricky Steamboat in '89.
It's just selling. That's all it is.
Should be more of that, yeah. Selling, you know, fool the other team, think he's not going to play, you know, get him red flagged, and then actually surprised. He's been faking it the whole time.
That's Mitrovic's music.
But the problem is we don't know, and there's not the press conference is tomorrow, and like it's a problem because if he's not fit for this weekend, game week 12 is like 48, 72 hours later. Is he really going to be fit a couple of days later?
They've got the Thursday game, haven't they, though, Fulham?
Right, okay. That's something. But still, it's very close together, like, would you risk him? So that's a problem, like, and like, I'm sure most of us have Reece James as well. So like, we all thought we would need to use transfers to get players out of the team. And now there's these 2 injuries as well. Like, so it's, it's getting a bit messy, but look, most people have him as the only bit of consolation, so, and hopefully your man will do the press conference. Like he said last week in the press conference, if he's not fit for last week, if you know what I mean, he would definitely be fit for this week. So unless he's had a relapse in training or, he injured it again or something like that, I don't know. But it's all been very quiet. That's the one bit of news I'm hanging on now is Mitrovic.
Yeah, it's a tough one for fantasy this year. I mean, especially, I think the thing, firstly, you got to say is there's a game on Friday. So, get your team sorted early.
Yeah.
So, you've got to be. And then the way the press conferences are scheduled out, obviously the news won't be as relevant because there's still another day's training and all that sort of stuff, probably.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a difficult one. You don't want to be waiting on all these things. Like, I'm waiting on Reece James news. You'll be waiting on Mitrovic news. People will be waiting on both. And it's just like...
I think the Reece James news is out for this week. But it's just a knock. It's not, they've done scans, there's no major damage and could even be, they said maybe midweek or next weekend, which isn't.
So at this point, I'm kind of resigned to taking at least a -4, I think, either this week or next for the mid-game.
One of the 2 weeks,
yeah. And that's what I was hoping to avoid because I've not got enough points to be playing around with at the moment.
But that's in a normal week it wouldn't be too bad, but like that's 3 game weeks. It's like, okay, that's
exactly.
Can I afford to have 6 million tied up in a defender who won't play for 3 weeks? You know what I mean? That's a lot of,
And that's where a point here can make sense, isn't it? If you're looking at it and going, I'm not literally just chasing 1 game week's worth of points. If I'm looking at the 12 blank, if I'm looking at even it's a game week 13, over the 3 game weeks, I'm going to get those 4 points back. I know sometimes you use that to convince yourself, don't you? You're off on board.
If he's not playing, it's only a -2.
But
the things you tell yourself,
that's the alternate. Well, that's it. You're like, well, if I'm only playing 10 players, well, it's only technically a -2, like you say. So you
get a 2 anyway. Yeah,
it comes in and gets a 0 or something. It's like, well, that was a waste of time on it. But you convince yourself.
It depends who your first sub as well. I could just leave him out, but then it's back into playing Guehi, double Palace defense. I don't like that, I don't mind double City defense or double Arsenal defense maybe, but double Palace defense feels a bit wrong,
Against Leicester as well, where you think there is a chance that
they'll score. They score most weeks. As we said a few weeks back, Leicester going forward is not a problem whatsoever. It's at the other end of the pitch that their problems are,
Definitely. Well, all in all, though, Jamesy, good little week for you, I think. Still, sitting pretty at the top, still well above the average. Just saying, I got 71 points as well. I'm with you there, mate.
Good score,
Ben. Good score. Great score. Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. I think so too. It was a funny old week, which has been defined by.
Look at the bench.
I hate to. Well, the bench is the story of my team this week because now that we're FPL content creators, you can't hide anymore. And my worst nightmare is missing a deadline. Because if this had happened and I didn't have this stream to do, I don't think I'd ever admit to it happening. And it was a later deadline on Saturday as well. So I've got no excuse other than the fact that I was working at the time. Because that's been my little Saturday tradition, doing a bit of overtime. It's easy work on the laptop. Something went wrong on the systems at like 1:25. And I was fucking around with it. I had Let's Talk FPL Andy on in the background. So I was kind of using him as a bit of a timer. I don't even know what I was waiting for. My decision was literally to get rid of Murphy and bring in Zaha. Like I had the exact money to do it. It was all set up. Let's go. Let's do it. I don't know what news I thought might come in before like 1:29 p.m. And then something happened. And I literally got to the point of confirming the transfer. to be honest, I thought it had gone through. I thought I just scraped it through because I saw on the clock the seconds were ticking. You know the way when you watch those deadline streams and it's like, because they're a few seconds behind as well.
Yeah,
Andy's half one isn't your half one, and I'm not blaming Andy. There's a lot of people blaming Andy for stuff this week, but it did me into a bit of a false sense of security. And the game came back up live half an hour later, and it hadn't gone through. And actually, at the end of the day, it was Zaha was supposed to bring in. He would have got 5 points. Murphy was going to sell. Has turned into Newcastle's star player. He's playing everywhere. He's got on the bench.
Yeah, like, I'm loving that bit in the group chat where you just retweeting people with like slagging off Murphy, just like, why is Murphy playing? He's terrible. This, that, the other. And then he goes and bangs one in. He had an assist last week or whatever.
It's been so funny. It's been so funny to see because every time he starts, literally, I challenge anyone, search his name on Twitter. It was just tweet after tweet of Newcastle fans going, "This fucking donkey," and then he scored, and it was a very lucky goal. But like the turnaround was quite funny, but at the end of the day, I was never going to play him. So I think I've still lost out on the transfer because I think if I'd have got Zaha in for him, Zaha definitely would have started. Gross would have been on the bench.
Right, yeah.
So I'm 3 points down. You know, it could have been worse. It's more losing the transfer that.
Was it? Did you have 2 anyway?
I had 2 in the bank.
Yeah.
This stage of the season, you can't. That's rookie stuff, lads. I can only apologise to the wider FPL community for.
You should do a mea culpa Andy interview now on your own, just fronting up to all your criticisms.
That's it. Pull the cap down, get a hoodie over the top, and you have to.
Anybody else got
get a banner across the top? I forgot to do the deadline. Okay.
Like I'm not selling Salah this week.
Not selling Salah this week.
We've all been there though. That's everyone want to make you feel better with a good deadline miss story. I've missed a couple on holiday. That's my record. All in all, but
yeah. Christmas. I find Christmas very hard. You know the way when there's because we're all like I'd be either on the road driving to visit relatives or Stevens is the Boxing Day as you guys call it. There'd be matches on and they start at 12. You just forget, the way Christmas time stands still and you forget about everything, and it's just like I always do badly in FPL at Christmas anyway for whatever reason. I think it's the matches on. I remember last year there was COVID and literally 5 minutes before the deadline Burnley versus West Ham has been called off, and it's just like what's going on here? Like it was just impossible. Yeah.
And then last year, like the game would freeze like 3 minutes before the deadline, so you couldn't make a transfer.
So people were leaving it till the last minute, and then there was a massive glitch for 5 minutes before, and everyone's transfers that they tried didn't go through. It was like, what in the name of God is going on? Yeah.
There was a year where that happened in game week 1. It was maybe about like 8-9 years ago now, but it was mayhem. Like half an hour before or it might even. I think it was actually down for longer than that. I think it might have been down for a few hours on the day of the deadline. Jeez. And anyone who was like, who thought ahead and had been like, us lot, you're tinkering with your team all summer, aren't you? So, you probably would have made a lot of changes on the last day, but you had something. But there were people in my leagues who just hadn't even got that far, or there was a lad in my league who's like my biggest rival in work. He just hadn't got round to putting his team in, and he'll always hark back to that year being the year he got screwed over. But I think that year FPL ended up just not really being able to do much, and I think a lot of leagues started game week 2, and we all just kind of had to get on with it. But lesson for everyone, make your transfers before a minute before the deadline ends.
Thing is, Benno, I'm the other end. Soon as when the game's updating after the deadline on Saturday, soon as it comes back up again, I'm just doing my transfers straight away. I'm just like, get it done.
You definitely get a buzz out of that, Andy. You're definitely going to get a buzz out of the feeling of making a transfer or clicking on a chip or something like that.
The thing about that, the thing about like chasing the early transfer, I was going to say it's kind of down how you play the game, but people that generally make the early transfers are trying to run for the cash increases and that sort of thing. But Andy's transfers generally don't follow that sort of mindset, it feels.
Just fancies it.
Yeah, because otherwise Andy's team would be like 106 million or something by now.
You're doing one of them mini leagues, where they're all fighting over who has the most the team value at the end of the season. Might win that one, but it's it's wild out there, but there's a lot of different ways to play this game. No right way, I would say, but yeah, one of them lesson learned this week. But overall, can't be too mad. It worked out relatively well. Lost out on 3 points on a transfer, but yeah, Pope and goal with 2 for the audio listeners. Perisic on 1. He's only still in my squad out of just pure lack of other options at this point.
This is his week, though. This is his week. Don't worry.
I hope so. Doherty's the man now. Noticed in the draft, 37 people were trying to get him in there this week. Did you?
Thank God for being crap this year. I can actually get players I want.
Speaking of the game,
I had him from the first week. I drafted him first week, and then after 10 weeks, I was just like, it's just not going to happen. I had to let him go or whatever. So now it's kind of
the suspension has helped him. That's the only thing, yeah.
Oh, that's it. But yeah, I was going to say, speaking of the game update, and I was actually, because I realised that at 6:30 tonight, the draft game was going to update because you got that last 24 hours, haven't you, after the waivers? So I was honest. It's the first time I've seen that updating screen on the draft. I clicked right in to see who got him. I got Ronaldo. We'll see. We'll talk about that later. But
I went for him as well, Ronaldo.
I saw that. Yeah, always good reading that page. But yeah, so yeah, back to my team. Yeah, Perisic, probably a keeper going forward. James, like we said, that Chelsea reshuffle this week, can't predict him, can you? Last week even, you can't. It's just the way it is. Obviously the yellow flags are a concern going forward, but I think I'm gonna hold fort with him. Cancelo on 18, coming on a week like you said, where a lot of the talk was, can we all get Foden in and have 3 City attackers and move him on? Nice timely reminder of that he is still Cancelo and probably the best defender of the game at this point. Same as you, Jamesy Trippier, Mr. Reliable, still get, you don't even need clean sheets with him, do you? It doesn't matter who they're playing. He can always pop up with something, can't he? Absolute FPL dream. Gross on 2. I think, like I say, he survived this week, but it's just not working out. I don't think with Gross and me, after the blanks and a few 2-pointers, I'm getting impatience with him. Martinelli, same story as everyone else. De Bruyne has done well for me overall since I've brought him in. I'll take the 6 points, although he might be on the chopping block just tactically when we get to game week 12. Jesus on 5, Tony on 5. Good to see Ivan Tony in the points again, and disappointing, I think. Hall for Haaland on 12, and it was looking for me. It was looking bad on my bench. Once Mr. Murphy had, I think he's IWC Murphy now, Jacob Murphy.
I don't think he even is.
A bonus, one bonus for. I know I couldn't pick him out of a lineup honestly until
I don't think anyone could. Yeah.
Literally got the ball rolled to him on a silver platter. It was brilliant. But he's in the points. Andreas in the points. If Nico had turned up as well, I'd be fuming this week. But yeah, what can you do? I don't think I was ever going to consider starting anything. So can't cry too much overall. Relatively happy with that.
It's interesting that you were making the Zaha move, but you hadn't put Murphy into the team.
I know.
And you were doing everything so late. So it was just kind of like, I guess if you'd have made the transfer, Zaha would have been 3rd on your bench.
Oh, that'd be worse. That'd be worse. Yeah, not having the time to click in and make him. As well. That would have been even worse. You know what? Maybe I should be thankful. That hurts too. But yeah,
you're in an okay position when it comes to the James injury, though, Benno, because you have Perisic there. So you can go 3 at the back and just leave James on the bench maybe this week and see how it pans out. I do think Perisic is due a start. He didn't play again in Europe midweek, and they're playing Everton at home.
Yeah,
I think this week you'd imagine he'd like to have Perisic kind of as a more attacking wing back against them, because Everton are just going to sit back and try and soak up pressure. So you can probably afford. So I think you'll get a start out of Perisic this week, because a lot of people just have James, Cancelo, Trippier as their 3 at the back, and then after that it's cheap defenders, where at least you have the luxury of the 4th kind of high-priced defender there. You know what I mean? So if I was you, I'd be leaving James for the week and just see what is said in press conferences, and if you have to get rid of him maybe during the week,
Yeah,
I think that's
you've got your 2 transfers though, haven't you? So you're going to have to make one, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Although
Definitely make
Murphy
one.
again. Yeah.
At least one. Well, I've got a question now.
Early.
It's like, does Murphy stay? You know,
Yeah.
the only reason he was go is he's there. He's in my squad because he's so cheap. And when I did my wild cards, you could afford to leave people on the bench. So he was like, you know, never going to be a concern. But if he's playing, you know, he might stay. You know, I don't expect 8 points ever again. But maybe it's not as priority.
I think the thing with the move you were going to make, obviously Zaha in for
That's gone
Murphy.
now.
Yeah, is it not price available?
Yeah,
it's a shame.
Priced out too. That's the other.
So I was going to say Zaha versus Leicester. There was a thing I was listening to earlier. The positions that Zaha plays is kind of the exact position where Leicester concede a lot of their chances from. So it could be a good a good week for Zaha. Yeah,
that's where my punishment comes in, Chris. It's like I've survived this week. I'm down 3 points. Who cares? Next week could really be the real killer. Yeah,
it could be. Yeah,
I'm half considering Gross to him. I was considering Gross to Maddison. Maybe could be an option too, but I think of the two, Zaha's probably.
Could you not do Murphy to Trossard or something?
Yeah, that's doable.
I feel Trossard.
Brighton fixture's so good in 12.
Yeah, and I think I don't know, legitimate captaincy shout for the blank, the Man City Arsenal blank, but I think he's definitely in consideration if you wanted to make an outside. We'll touch on those later on, but
I think I'd only do it if I could tell myself Gross is going the week after, because I can't sit there in good faith and have two Brighton
midfielders.
I just Gross has punished me enough, and I know Trossard's banging right now. But
I think the thing was with Brighton this past week, though, you've got to give credit to Tottenham. They really defended well and just like shut Brighton out of the game. Like Trossard, I had him on a bet to get a shot on target, and he didn't get a sniff for the whole 90 minutes. They were excellent.
I mean, we mentioned it last week, I think it was, but Brighton are at the top end of everything in terms of XA, XG. You know, they are one of those teams that are very attacking, and they're a very solid team. And as I say, I mean, if they had a better striker, somebody that wasn't Danny Welbeck, I think they'd be a lot more respected in the Premier League. But I mean, I wouldn't be overly surprised if they finish in that 6 to 8 range this year. They're definitely one of the top end teams this year.
Your problem, Benno, would like if you did end up with 2 Brighton midfielders, you'd have good fixtures 11-12, but then 13-14.
They've got City, haven't they?
It's City, and then it's City away, and then Chelsea at home, and that's a bit rough.
City away is enough to want to run away from, isn't it? It's like you literally, it's almost like a free hit game week 12, isn't it? You want to attack the Forest fixture, and you want rid immediately.
If I do get,
they'll be up for Chelsea though.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll be up for Chelsea being Potter.
A huge move in 12 will be people buying Trossard and then immediately flipping him back to Foden, I think, then in 13 if they have the money.
That makes sense,
And just because City's fixtures are nice then until the World Cup pretty much. I think a lot of people who have De Bruyne now will go De Bruyne to Trossard and then Trossard straight back to Foden, and then you can spread that De Bruyne money throughout the team then kind of. You could even afford Kane then maybe up front, you know.
You know what? I wasn't considering that, but that sounds great. You know what? I might do that. I'm glad we did this podcast today.
That's pretty much. You'll see my plan later. That was pretty much my plan to do this week. Was Trossard and Kane in, and De Bruyne and Jesus out. And then,
that's interesting to hear you say that. I know we're getting into like the future plans, but I was mad thinking. Could I go early with one of my City or Arsenal players? Could De Bruyne become Son for that Spurs fixture? Could De Bruyne, dare I say it, become Salah? Yeah. We'll get into that because I can afford that.
And if you look at Liverpool's fixtures afterwards, you could hold Salah then for 3 or 4 weeks. I'm sure we'll get into all this in a while. We're talking. There's a lot to think about for the next few weeks. I have about 5 or 6 different options, and this James injury has really kind of
thrown a spanner in the works, hasn't it?
It kind of has, and it was always going to happen. I had my plan was too neat and too tidy, and there was always going to be some fucking injury that was going to mess it all up. Unfortunately, but sure, that's the game, isn't it?
That's the game. You can't book transfers in, so
that's it.
No.
It never works.
The best laid plans of mice and men often go astray.
Well, speaking of which, sorry, Andy, you're up. Big letters there, mate. Billboards, triple captain played, 68 points, 18 for Haaland. How are you feeling, mate?
I was just like, I was cursing him. Then first 45 minutes, fucking everyone's scoring apart from him. What's going on? In my head, I was thinking, oh, sod's law, innit? But thankfully, he did come up with the 1 goal, 18 points. It's something, innit? It's 6 points more than quite a few others were getting. I think in total there was in our league, I think there maybe just about 10 people triple captain him. Jeff triple captaining as well. So nice to see people have the same idea as me.
They listen to you, mate. They followed you. They followed your advice. You're a content creator now. FPL Andy.
The thing was, though, on paper, you think, he could get a couple of goals against Southampton. When you're seeing the odds like 5-1 to get an hat trick, even like bookies are running scared of him now.
It was a very, very decent punt. Though, you know, at the end of the day, the form he's in and the opposition are crap. Like it was,
he hit the post, didn't he? When he was like 1-on-1 with the keeper, and it was very unlucky not to go in. So that could have been.
He had a couple of early chances.
Yeah. Let's go through the teams. So Edison, 6 points. Good all for him there. I'm glad I stuck him in instead of Raya. The worry was with Raya was because I had too money in the Newcastle Brentford match, so I just stuck him on the bench. Trippier, we've said, what an asset he's been, constantly assisting, and they're doing well in defence at the moment. So in Newcastle, Reece James, I would curse in the Potter rotation on Saturday afternoon. And obviously getting the knee injury this past week in Europe, it's totally fucked up plans for the next couple of weeks. Gueye, I think he got booked quite early on in that Palace Leeds game.
I was worried of a red card, I tell you.
Yeah, Palace didn't look great defensively. They look good going forward. I thought that is it Eze up front. He looks, if you want someone cheap in midfield, he might be an option for someone. But I'm going to keep Gueye. He did all right for me last season. When Palace were much better in defence, but they're always there and thereabouts for clean sheets. I think they maybe could get some clean sheets coming up. Martinelli, I've had him in since the start. He's excellent in my proper team and my draft team. What a man. So he's going nowhere. Kevin De Bruyne, the assist machine, more than the goal machine, but consistently anywhere between 6 and 8 points a week. But we will get into transfer plans later. Zaha, he was just very much wide on the left, weren't he, most of the game. Got that assist, which was nice to see. I may be expecting more from him against Leeds, the two attacking teams. So I expected maybe a goal from him. Oh God, Rashford! It's giving me nightmare flashbacks to last Sunday evening when I was saying get to the pay window. He's got a goal because I had a bet which was. Who is it now? Jesus to get a shot on target, Zaha and Rashford, and I rang it on Rashford for about 20 quid. And when that ball went in, now like fucking get in there and put in our group chat, get to the pay window. And then 30 seconds later, I think Eddie Siburns put step away from the pay window. It's offside.
It was so unlucky, like merest of handballs, which was no advantage. There's no it's a stupid rule again. He gained no advantage from that.
It was a class finish though, weren't it?
Oh, he's looking really good. I've been watching the United game. United won in the last minute, by the way, scored a goal in injury time. He looks very sharp, Rashford. I'm when it comes, I don't think I'll have a chance to bring him in for a while yet, but I'll be thinking about him on the World Cup wildcard. He's just looking and he's only 6.5.
Yeah, it said he's only had a personal trainer in pre-season, getting him right up to speed, and
he missed all the England games and everything. Yeah,
Yeah, he looks
just want him to do well.
Fixtures 14 to 20, really good.
Well, generally, United do well against Newcastle. The Tottenham games always end up about 5-4 or 6-5.
And he's a big game player. If you look at his record against the top six, he always scores in big games. So like he's not a guy you have to wait for the. If you have him, like don't be selling him just because he has Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea, or anything like that. You know.
Yeah. Plus as well up front, you don't know whether Ronaldo's in and out in the team. Martial seems cropped.
Martial's out now. I can't see Ronaldo playing anything apart from Europa League games. To be honest, and like cameos at the end of
off the bench.
Premier League games.
He's playing Rashford on the left at the moment anyway. He's actually dropped Sancho now, who's been a bit in and out kind of. So like tonight it was Rashford left, Ronaldo up front, and Anthony on the right. Pretty much the same front three that finished the game against Everton.
Anthony.
Yeah,
he's doing right at the
3 goals in 3 games.
Yeah. Did you see these scored at the end of the game, Jamesy? Yeah.
What's that?
United scored in McTominay.
Oh, McTominay, like the second minute of injury time. Yeah. I was too embarrassed to cheer.
another big win against the Cypriots. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
Neil Lennon's
really huffing and puffing in this Europa League. Yeah, fuck's sake.
So who else have we got? Oh, Ivan Toney.
He's back.
You're
going to get rid of him, aren't
you? He needed that, didn't he? Yeah.
He got a penalty, but they got their ass kicked, didn't they, off Newcastle? But for
me, that's why you have him.
For me, though, we'll get into the plan, but I think he's on borrowed time, Mr. Toney.
Okay.
Not think he'll step it up to get into the England squad for the World Cup?
No, absolutely not. I think Brighton, they'll struggle there. Chelsea, they'll struggle. And I know
they'll score though, won't they, against Brighton? That's the thing. Brighton are so open now. Like they're gonna get a goal, and surely he'll be involved.
It's an either-or game, really. I think Brighton are a much better side than what Brentford are.
But I think the thing with Brighton is though, like it's like they've just got to score more goals than you. Like they feel like one of them teams though, we're going to go in, we'll concede 3, but we'll score 4. Like I wouldn't get any of their defenders in, or I wouldn't expect clean sheets when people go to play them. But I don't know, Ivan Toney's going to be there or thereabouts if they get near the goal.
Yeah, but I think Brighton are more likely to get a clean sheet than what like Brentford are. Brentford are missing Pontus Jansson at the moment, who I think's like he's a solid centre half, and
good leader.
They're struggling a bit without him. Jesus, all hail Jesus. He's brilliant. It's funny with this game that he's actually there was a stage this season he went down in price. And, when you're seeing all over assets for like Arsenal, like constantly going up 0.1, 0.1 and all that, Jesus sticking the same at 8 million. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Strange.
I think because so many people had him. Like first week, it's like thrown his figures out of balance. So it's going to be so difficult for his price to go up or down, I think, at this point. Unless 50% of the people that had him in get ship. And then maybe his price might go down. But why would you get rid of Arsenal assets? Unless they had a blank game week sort of thing,
Yeah. Haaland, who we've mentioned, you got to keep him as captain. Who else we got on the bench? Raya. He's done all right in weeks where Ederson's had the much harder game, so I can't moan at him. He's definitely going to be my keeper on the bench all the time now. Share. He's going to be in and out, really. I fancy Trippier more than Shea, for getting points hauls. Harrison's always a good option for assists. And I don't think he really did much during that Palace game. There was one player, I think he played left or right back for Leeds, Tyler Adams, who looked good going forward. But then I looked at his points on the game, and it's all 1s and 2s. So I'm like, bit disappointing that, because I thought, if you want someone who's an attacking wing back option, he's made a cheap option for a defender. But Leeds are always going to concede goals, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the thing. I wouldn't touch
they're
a
on a
Leeds
bad run now
defender.
as well.
Yeah.
I know he's been tipped that. Is it Pascal Strike who's down as a defender? Who's got
I've got him in the draft.
Who's got about 31 points at the moment, but yeah, you won't be touching much of Leeds at the moment.
No. Look, just having a quick look at Tyler Adams' heat map, because I've literally never heard of the man before. He doesn't get into the final third at all, really.
All right.
Yeah,
I
just not.
thought he had a
He
good.
It looks like he plays both wings, but all of his touches are in the middle.
I thought he was
the middle
he was
half of the
defensive midfielder.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. It doesn't seem to be quite back. So yeah, I mean, I'd say not somebody I've really looked at, but he's like his stats on Football Hub don't really scream get him in.
It's one of them with Leeds. You sort of hoping Buddy Stuart Dallas gets back from injury, but I don't think he's a good asset. Yeah, he's not until like early January when he's back, which it's a shame because last couple of seasons he's been a great asset for.
I mean, at this rate for Leeds, you might as well hope that Rafinha transfer falls through and they somehow end up with him back because.
Oh, I'd love that. He's still in the game. I'd love if he was. Just sat there, red flag. We'll ask James what's going on with Sancho just while we're at the chats up there. Yeah, two managers should be ideal place to get the most out of him. What's going on? Any answer to that?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with him. Like he does it in flashes. Like he scored some really nice goals this season and showed great composure to finish goals and that kind of thing. But when you watch him play, he's very passive. Like there's no aggression to him. He doesn't like. I don't know that I have I had it like when United were trying to sign him. I'd seen him the odd time play for Dortmund, and I had it in my head that he was this really fast, tricky winger who'd go past people and get crosses into the box. But that doesn't appear. He seems to be more like a kind of an inside forward where he's not going to run past his man and dribble past him, but he'll kind of play 1-2s and play quick passes in and around the box and that kind of thing. But he's only been okay for United, I would say. I don't know if it's that his style doesn't suit the Premier League maybe or something like that, because I feel like he gets physically bullied by defenders quite a lot in a lot of games I see from him. So yeah, like at the moment, I would say the first choice front three is Rashford on the left anyway, Antony on the right, and then either Ronaldo or Martial, depending on injuries up front. And I don't like it. Rashford is like, when United play with Rashford, he's really strong, he's really direct, he's got pace. And then when Sancho comes on, he seems to be just cumbersome almost in comparison to him, So at the moment, deservedly being benched, you know what I mean? And he's not someone I would be happy to see in the first team at the expense of Antony or Rashford,
I was going to say, Jamesy, about wingers in general nowadays in the Premier League. It's a dying art. Everyone wants to be like a wing back or an inside forward.
Yeah, a cut inside. Like you don't get a left footer playing on the left anymore, or a right footer playing on the right. Yeah. It's all people playing on the opposite flank and cutting in and that kind of thing. The
Arjen Robben effect.
Yeah. It's because fullbacks are coming up so high now that they're the wingers, and then it means that the wide players can kind of tuck in and almost be inside forwards.
If you could get Sancho to be a little bit of a defender, he could play a wing back and probably be in a better position going forward. I mean, just quickly looking at his stats on transfer market, when he was at Dortmund, 137 games, he scored 50 goals and had 64 assists. For United, he's had 48 games, he scored 8 goals and had 3 assists. So he's either being played out of position or he's not at he can't play against the level of the competition that's in the Premier League. There is obviously a fall off between Bundesliga and Premier League. I think it's usually you see like a 33% drop off, I think, in stats. I think is kind of the expectation between the two divisions, but that's much under that. Just looking at it, I mean, 50 goals in 130, that's more than like you scoring more than scoring 1 in 3, and you're assisting in more than you're almost assisting in 1 in 2. And at United, he's not reaching that sort of figure.
I wonder, would he be good as a number 10, maybe? Like, if he doesn't have the pace and the power to kind of play as a wide player, I wonder if you could play him like behind a striker. Would that maybe suit him better? but like they've got Bruno
Possibly.
Fernandes
I
to play
mean,
with. But they've got Bruno.
The United
He's not going to get in there, you know.
Yeah.
So like it's so yeah,
'cause
another
United
80
kind of
million
play
sub.
with the
Himself and
United
Harry
obviously play
Maguire
with
on the bench, like fucking hell.
what's it? The United play with like the double pivot, and then like the one guy in the middle, which is generally Bruno, and then your two guys on the side.
Yeah.
So Rashford and
Bruno
Alanga
plays
or
every
Sancho
minute.
or whomever. Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, you're not really going to be able to get him out, and then you have your man up top, which ideally Ten Hag wants to be Martial.
Yeah.
So unless he can play in that role and play the Martial sort of role,
yeah. Again, I don't see him having the power to be a striker. You know, that's the thing.
No.
He's just lacking in the power you need to be a Premier League player. I think, you know, he's very skillful, and if you get him into space, he's good, but he doesn't have the ability to get himself with the ball past the player into space, which is a big problem. You know, whereas you see Rashford and you see Anthony, and they have that athleticism and wiriness about them, and you like I feel like Sancho gets knocked off the ball very easily as well. You know, it's just you know, yeah.
The thing with me as well, I don't know. I know you said you'd watched a few Dortmund games, but the thing quite often with Dortmund is they draw the team onto them and then they knock it over the top. So somebody with pace like Sancho or Haaland, like that's how he scored a lot of the goals. And they were saying, obviously, Haaland's going to have to adapt to the Premier League. It took him about 3 games. It's obviously taken Sancho about 2 seasons so far. But it's kind of the difference between those guys, isn't it, I suppose?
I like the way Connor's ways of the question. Similar subject, who's Anthony? Why is he been a great fit? He does feel like he came out of nowhere. He really does.
Does he have him? Yeah.
He played for that great Ajax team, didn't he? That made the semi-finals of the Champions League a couple of years ago. And then they got pilfered by everybody because like, oh, look at these Ajax boys should be beating Real Madrid and Inter Milan and all this, that, and the other. Wonder who they've got playing for them, and then they all ended up somewhere else. The wing back that I was certain would end up at like an Everton or something. I think he ended up at Roma. Plays for I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but there was a couple of players in that team you were like, these guys are destined for the Premier League, and they all ended up in Italy when Italy changed the rules on taxation of contracts and stuff. So loads of players went to Italy to take advantage of that.
Gotta love it. The time at home. But yeah, back to the teams, Andy. Yeah, 68 points all in all. Can't be too mad at that. Only 2 transfer, -4. Can live with that.
Yeah, 10 more than the average, and I think I've moved up 4 places this week. A lot of it's green arrows again, so the only way is up, baby, as Yaz used to.
Who did you bring in, Anthony? What were your transfer? Or Andy, who did you bring in this week?
Who did I bring in? So I took. So I brought Zaha in, and I brought Gueye in.
Oh yeah,
I think it was. So I got rid of Andre. So it was similar points, weren't it, between Zaha and Andre?
Yeah.
And I got shuttered Trent because I'd had enough of him. So it's a good job because he's cropped now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, very, very, very happy with how it's going.
Well, speaking of Trent being crocked, great intro. Chris's turn. Sorry, mate. You won't be last 1 week. 1 week you'll go first on this, and you can rub it in. But yeah, Trent might sum up your fortunes this week. And
I mean, I was still above average, so I'm taking that as it's been a long while. But I look at that 4 points above average, and I'm still 4.5 millionth in the game week, which was a bit of a surprise. I'll just run through the player. I'd say 62 overall. Made the one transfer, which was Maddison coming in for Gundog, which was probably a week late on Maddison, as we touched on. He's hot and cold, isn't he? So I think we may have...
Probably a week early.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Maddison will probably be the makeshift for Foden once the swing of the matches goes, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
Will he sit pretty for them 3? Palace, Leeds, Wolves. Is that the
I think that's kind of they have a nice little run, and then I can get ship and then ride Foden for the rest of the half season sort of thing. But yeah, from the top, Pope in goal. Just let the one in, so just got the 2 points. I wouldn't mind being able to if you had a set team and you just had 2 transfers ready to go. I wouldn't be against getting rid of Pope and bringing in Kepa at Chelsea. If he's now the number 1, he's 4.4 million. It's a really easy way into that Chelsea defence, and Chelsea have got a good run of fixtures towards the end of the season. So
I'm with you on Pope. Came in on my wildcard, same thing, and since then 2-2-2. Not even a save point to be had. Like
no, that's it. Newcastle don't concede that many shots. I mean, the teams they've had are Brentford, Fulham, and Bournemouth. So I suppose you're not expecting them to take a lot of shots, but you'll probably get a save point against United. I think I expect them to concede there, so probably a 3-pointer. You'd expect them maybe to keep a clean sheet against Everton. You'd hope that. And then who knows what Spurs could do to them. I think that might be a high-scoring one. So we'll see there. Cancelo, coming good. I can't see him leaving my team, to be honest. I think he's probably the best defensive asset that there is now in the game. I think if you've got 3 City players going forward from after the blank, you have Cancelo in defence, you have Foden in midfield, and you have Haaland up front. I think that's your optimum sort of thing. Trent kind of just encapsulates Liverpool season, doesn't he? They're just like he's now got injured. He played 45 minutes and he conceded twice, so he got a 0. It just kind of like
it's horrible. It's horrible. Like Trent is like, can you imagine like an FPL season like over the last few years where you'd be like, don't need Trent anymore. Like I haven't got him and I haven't missed him, and it's just, and everyone's shipping him out now because of because of that, like you say. But how come he came off after 45? What was the story there?
He turned his ankle.
Right.
From one of the shows earlier that I watched that's got an Arsenal fan on it, it said Martinelli turned him so many times his ankle just went with him, sort of thing. So yeah, he wasn't having a good time with it. I mean, he's obviously getting a lot of pressure about his defensive capabilities. It's never been his strongest suit, I don't think, but you're not even getting the attacking returns from him this year because Liverpool, I think, with Núñez in the system, have started to play slightly differently than we've had them before. And that's kind of dampened Trent, and it's also obviously dampened Salah. So we'll see. I mean, if I take him out, well, I mean, scoring against Rangers isn't near there, is it, for me? So I probably get rid of Trent, and I don't see him coming back in this until after the World Cup. So I've got my ideas on where we're going with that, but
we feel a million miles away from like the start of the season where, like, because Gareth was making a good point. He was like, look at the history of Trent. We're all daft. What are we doing thinking of selling him? But
well, that's it. That's why I've kept him for so long, because I was certain he was going to come good. He's like the favourite that you always back. He's in a bit of a slump, but he'll come good because history shows us that he's arguably one of the top 5 FPL players of all time. He plays in what is supposed to be the second best team in the division that score lots of goals and keep lots of clean sheets, and none of that stuff's happening. Liverpool lose at the weekend. They're out of the championship. They can't win the They can't win the league. They'll be 14 points behind or whatever it is. So,
Chris, it's funny that Bournemouth are above them.
Yeah.
Beat them 9-0.
Liverpool have conceded more shots this season than Forest. So that's how much they're under the cosh. They're not playing well. There's something wrong with them, and they can't seem to fix whatever the issues are. And with players dropping left, right, and centre, it's not going to help.
The Salah thing as well, like
centre midfield done as well. Like Henderson and Milner too old. That lad who they signed from Juventus Arthur.
Yeah, he's injured now.
Spent 60 minutes at Scotland and thought, "Fuck it, I'm being injured for 4 months."
Yeah, I like Harvey Elliott. He played really well when he was at Blackburn, but he's not seemed to be up to scratch in terms of keeping that midfield going. And there's a lot I think Gareth said it previously when he's been on the show. Like, they should have spent the money that they spent on Núñez on a midfielder, and they should have kept. Yeah, and if they were signing Núñez, they should have kept Mane and let Salah go, because it feels like those two would work much better together than Salah and Núñez do. But there's a lot.
Quite funny that like you say, there's like Salah, like obviously the pressure's there, and everyone's talking about it, and he comes back and he makes a statement, but the statement he made was in Europe against Rangers. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
If you owned them, you'd be so. I watched it was FPL Black Box, and they were ripping into Liverpool, and then day after he goes in and scores a hat trick. What was it, in 5 minutes, something like that? But
yeah, 6 minutes hat trick, the quickest in history, in the Champions League or something.
But that's the problem. It's the hope that
but-
kills you. If you had him in your squad, you'd be like, one more week. Go on, just one more week.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2 more weeks. It's a blank coming up. Let's see.
And look at the Liverpool. If you just go into fixtures there for Trent, if you look at like
13 in it. That's
look like if you did bring him in for 12, look at that run all the way to the World Cup. West Ham, Forest, Leeds, I know the Spurs, Southampton. You know, it's not bad. And when you think you could bring in Foden instead of Kevin De Bruyne and still keep Salah. Not bad.
FPL Andy said this today, that Liverpool are still scoring lots of goals, aren't they?
Yeah.
And
I mean, technically the form of the team doesn't particularly matter to FPL. They could lose every game 5-4. That'd be perfectly fine for FPL statistics.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Just stay away from their defense, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
I think it's who to go for, isn't it? It's like based on those fixtures, it's like let's bring someone in, and the obvious thing would always be, well, Mo Salah, of course. But I don't think it's that obvious now. It's like with Diaz out as well. Does that, maybe Jota's the shout if
Firmino's banging them in.
Well,
Nobody wants to take a risk on Firmino, though, do they?
Because he'll stop immediately, won't he? That'll be it. We can get him in.
He's a classic role where you think to bring in the Liverpool striker, but he's suddenly taken all his chances. They're playing a 4-2-3-1. So at the moment, there's room in the team for Nunez, Firmino, Salah, and Jota. If they keep playing that formation, they all have a slot in the team because they're only just playing 2 midfielders. So
Who let Firmino go in the draft? Was it you, Andy, or did you pick him up?
Chris Elliott, wasn't it? I think
Chris Elliott let him out, and now
he'll be ruined that.
Yeah. But remember as well, we're only buying now for 3 or 4 weeks. You know what I mean? We're not buying for the season anymore. So you're just buying for a short run of fixtures. So could you take a punt for Firmino? 8.9, I think he is.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I could go up from Jesus to Firmino, perhaps. Because whoever I'm bringing in for Trent's going to be less, so I'm going to have money in the bank.
Yeah, you'll make money on selling Trent. That's the thing. Yeah.
So we'll see. So I'll just run quickly through the team, the rest of it, because we've touched on most of these players. So Perisic, 1 point. I assume he's going to have a bigger week next week because he's not played for the last 2 games. James, 1 point. Really could have done with him not coming on because I have Andreas first sub. So I'd have had a 5-point swing there, which would have probably put me up quite a bit more. Put me on to 67 points for the week, sort of 66 points for the week sort of thing. So yeah, that'd be good. With James, I'm hoping for more news. I ideally don't want to take a -4 at the minute, but we'll get into that in future transfers. Martinelli with the 12 points. Guys on softball, he's probably not leaving the team at all. I do wonder if he's going to the World Cup because I think he's on the fringes of the Brazil squad, isn't he? But it's
if he wasn't.
I don't know how. I literally don't know who plays in the Brazilian team, so I couldn't tell you whether he should be going or not.
They have a lot of players. Like they have Vinicius at Real Madrid would play on the left for them. They've got Richarlison who plays regularly. They've got Rafinha. They've got Neymar. So it's
Jesus.
It's
a tough one to break into. Yeah,
there's probably players we don't know about playing across Europe for Brazilian forwards. So it's a very hard squad to get into.
They were all playing in the Ukraine until about a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Zaha did well. Madison with the 1-pointer. I think I missed the hot streak there, but we'll see. On there, Haaland with the captaincy. I was at work, so I was had like a little screener on the side, just following the City game. Going, they're scoring quite a lot, but yeah, Haaland not in the mix was a bit of a kicker until he got that one, the 4th goal. Tony, 5 points, perfectly fine. That's why you have him in there. I think, as I was saying a little earlier, he's on free kicks, he's on penalties, he plays 90 minutes. He's the talisman of that team. If there's a goal coming from Brentford, you'd expect him to be involved. So that was a good one to get in. And Jesus with the assist, as again, have we seen quite a little bit this year? Not as much as you'd have thought he might get out of that game. Like you kind of think he sometimes should score a bit more or get a few more points. But I'll take the 5 points. Andreas first sub. As I say, could have done with him coming on for James, but we'll see. ASM's back, so that's good. That's mainly him there for the blank week, so I'm glad he's back to fitness and back in the team. Williams, as I was saying to James, if he comes on for a 1 pointer, that's what I'm expecting out of that.
That's actually grand, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fine. So where it stands at the minute, I'm fairly happy with it, but we'll get into transfers as we move on. But I think no need to move on 13 of the 15 at the minute. So not bad. I'm now finally in the top 5 million in the world. I think I'm 4.6 millionth overall or something at the moment. So we're on the rise.
I think you can get a couple more weeks, Chris, out of rank doesn't matter. I've noticed, a lot of the YouTubers are like, it's maybe getting to the point now where we need to start putting ranks on screen, but you can get a couple more weeks out of it.
The guys who have ranks in their bios, like
I think one of the videos I watched, because I've just had FPL stuff on all day while I've been working. Somebody mentioned that between the top 100k and 1 millionth, there's only like 15 points or something stupid. Like it's still a very compressed season at the moment. So if I get 1 or 2 game weeks that go well, or once we've had the World Cup, get 1 or 2 very good chip usages, I think you could easily rocket up the league. So even if you're like me down in the 4+ millions, I still think there's a very good shot of at least getting into the top million if you play it right. That's from where I am at the moment, that's going to be my goal: get into the top million by game week 30 or something, and then see where we are from there.
I think you're doing the right thing. You haven't lost your head in any way. You're just kind of playing how you'd play. You'd see people out there like Mark on Black Box, who just went crazy, started captaining random people and refusing to get Haaland in. And by the way, Martin Bushby did listen to us last week. He brought Haaland in after all.
Man. He's also made a target. He wants to beat Will Cooling, which is a perfectly acceptable target. So if he just yeah, exactly.
To get the 2 of them on some week.
So that's it. Just get something in your mind that's an acceptable goal, because you're not going to win FPL. Nobody, 10 million play, one person wins it, and most of the time it's all by luck. It's not by design, like unless you copy what FPL Raptor does and you're in the top 100 because of that. But so it's all good. You've got to trust your process, I think, and that's the thing. As I say, I can say that a lot of the early decisions I made were incorrect. Like thinking that it would be a big year for Grealish, it hasn't been. That was a big issue for me, and a couple of others early on. I think I played the wild card in haste, sort of thing. But yeah, we move, as they say.
It's a long season. That's it.
Exactly. That's it. It's 38 game weeks. Yeah,
that's it. I reckon that's it. I think play it safe for now. Get to the last 5-week game week though. If you're struggling, that's when you throw it at the wall. Isn't it? That's when you go crazy.
That's it. I mean,
there will even be doubles, massive doubles as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
there's going to be a 20 game double game week. Like there will be one game week where they put all those matches that were cancelled for the Queen into one game week. So everybody will have 2 players playing. You know what I mean? So you won't even need to do a wild card because you'll have 2 players playing no matter what. So there's loads of points to be made. I remember the first year I took it seriously. I was doing fine, and then I had this monstrous double game week where I think I bench boosted, and I think I got 190 points or something mad like that. And it just shot me up the league, and I ended up finishing 60k purely I played average the whole season, did no good really, and then that 1 week shot me up, and I just clung on then for the last few weeks, and it was so it's that's all it takes.
That's it. It's still very, as I say, very compressed league. I think you could easily move. Like if I'd have had Andreas in instead of James, those 5 points could have easily moved me up another million. I'd have thought this week, sort of thing. So. One of those.
If he played and got the clean sheet,
Yeah, one of those 50-50 goes your way, and you suddenly.
Remember JP's triple captain last year? He triple captained. It was De Bruyne, and remember De Bruyne went nuts. And in midweek, it was Newcastle away, I think, and he scored 4 goals and 1 assist. And JP ended up getting from one player, he got mad amount of points. So just one little thing like that, and you're flying again. Yeah.
He's if you're out there and you're worried, yeah, that's it. Long season. Martin can still beat
Yeah,
Will.
absolutely.
There's a long way to go. Matty can still pick his team up again. There's plenty of
He shouldn't give up, Matty.
opportunity for us. So he can, if he still knows his login. But
I mean, it's
before we
good
get
because I've gone above him in the Creator League now, so I'm happy with
yeah.
it.
Oh, take that. Yeah, let's have a quick look at that. Actually, yeah, there you are. And, there's your name in lights. It's a green arrow at the end of the day. After all of it, still moving up in the world. So
still not on 500 points, which is a bit of a kicker at this point of the season. But we'll be over that threshold next week, and then we can go from there.
There you go. That's the way to look at it. And yeah, Martin's 378 to Will's 467. So bit of catching up to be done, but
Gareth had a good week as well, 83 with a 79. He had a -4.
I'm surprised he's not on. I was expecting a message. Oh, I'm available this week.
Well, no, because we'll get to the reason why he's not on when we get to the draft league.
Oh, I see. Is that what it is? How'd he do the name? There we go. Oh, it was Saka. Having Saka there.
Yeah.
What happened with that? It was that weird VAR thing, wasn't it, with Saka, where it was like they couldn't check that it was Saka, wasn't it?
He wasn't on any of the cameras. That was the issue. There are for VAR they have 5 cameras in positions for checking things, and he wasn't on any of where his starting position for the goal. He wasn't on any of the 5 cameras, so they couldn't say whether or not he was on or offside. But the assistant referee hadn't given him offside because he was told not to give people offside because we'll check it on VAR. So
the problem is the one blind got the entire pitch,
just kind of out there. Yeah, so
I kind of love that it happened to Liverpool, but despite being a Liverpool supporter, I'm sure Garrett's happy with those 15 points there. He's right. I don't see Kane often. You should, especially with those victors coming up. But he's well placed there as our Gareth. Hopefully we'll get him on to a -4 as well. That's unlike him. Paid off. There you go. Sometimes those hits can work out, but like I say, long season to go. But yeah, any other thoughts on the game week as a whole? Anything else stand out results wise that we haven't kind of covered? Any other stories that are notable?
Chelsea are a problem. Potter, I saw someone call it, what they have pepper roulette, and they call it a pottery lottery, where you just can't you can't predict his starting. He's worse than anyone. He changed the team, so I think he's just trying everybody out.
Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I think they played a back 4 at the weekend, because with
that
James,
was the thing he did at Brighton though. He changed between a back 4 and a back 5 quite.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But he's changing the players as well, so it's like he's like at the weekend he played a back 4. And I think he had Azpilicueta right back, Cucurella left back, and then Koulibaly and Chalobah centre backs. And then against AC Milan during the week, it was Chilwell and Reece James as the wing backs. And Koulibaly, I think he played Thiago, and Chalobah again. So it's like nobody knows. Like if you're trying to say I could swap James for another Chelsea defender, I couldn't name one Chelsea defender who's definitely nailed at the moment. None of their centre-backs. We don't know what his favourite centre-back partnership is. Cucurella and Chilwell are both left-backs, so you don't know who to pick between the two of them. James is injured. He's the one who you think would be nailed. So it's just very difficult at the moment to kind of predict. Give it a few weeks and he will find... Because with Brighton, he always had a very settled team. But I think he's gone to a club now where he's got 25 really good players, and he probably can't believe the embarrassment of riches. He probably had 16 players at Brighton, and he knew his best first couple of subs, and he had those players, and that was it. And now he has all these players. He's probably thinking, Jesus, I don't know what to do. He'd have taken every single
one of them at Brighton, wouldn't he?
Absolutely, 100% he would. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm kind of kidding myself that James, even though there was obviously the issue this week, can't be likely he gets dropped that much. I'm kind of still like, he'll probably, as long as he's fit, obviously going forward.
He's the one you would expect to be most nailed because Azpilicueta he's fairly gone beyond it at this stage. He can play the odd game here and there, but you can't see him flying up and down the touchline the way Reece James does,
That's it. Yeah, his FPL pomp was a few years now. I feel like that, wasn't it? We should be past that point, but he's still knocking around. So yeah, but yeah, Chelsea interesting. Obviously, we touched on the City 4-0. That's the other big one. Spurs is something a lot of people are keeping an eye on. I think when we get into the plans going forward, definitely. I think they're maybe flying under the radar. Like I say, it seemed odd to see Kane in Gareth's team, but we probably should all have Kane, and Son is looking more like himself finally as well. I think there's points in their future as well. But yeah, although I think kind of covered it. I'll just say that Sunday, what a day of footy that was, lads. It was just that Arsenal Liverpool game, then to the Everton United game. It was a great day.
I was going to say with West Ham, who's it scored again tonight? RWC Jared Bowen in the Europa League.
Back. Totally admit I was wrong on him. He's since everybody started bringing him in those. I think game week 8 people brought him in. He's been banging them in fairness, he is back, and he's definitely an option for sure.
And Skamaka as well. I know Matty Edwards put him in the draft, but he had. I think I said last week he had been banging him away in the Europa League, and now he started doing it in the Premier League now.
Yeah, it feels like he's been acclimatized to whatever West Ham wanted to get him up to speed with, and now he's probably going to be the main guy over Antonio. So could be a good differential up top.
As well with West Ham, if you need a defender, he's back in the team now. Ever reliable ex-Rochdale player Craig Dawson. There with him. Got 5 points. I think it's 5 points and 6 points the last two, and they got Southampton this week. So it might be an injury.
They had an injury tonight at centre back as well. I think Ogbonna. That's another, rival for him gone out of the way as well. And they're playing that guy, the new German guy, Kehrer. They brought him as a centre back, but he's actually playing right back. So it's kind of it's open for Dawson and Zuma, I suppose, are the two centre backs now.
Yeah, I would say with Dawson all them years ago at Rochdale, whenever we got a corner, he'd always be. I think he got 10 goals one season, and they were all
to win a header from corners.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, Zuma is someone I'm looking at those West Ham fixtures and look at them settling down. It's like, I don't know, I'm a wrestling fan, so can I talk? But it just feels wrong having him in my team. He's 4.5 million. He's the best route to that West Ham defence, but don't really want the cat kicker in there. Yeah, it doesn't feel right, does it? Well, I suppose I just brought Ronaldo in the draft, so it's just points on a screen,
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went all last season without Ronaldo for those sort of reasons. I was just kind of like, just steadfastly just refused to get him in. And like, I'm in my Fantrax league, 2 of the top point scorers that haven't been picked up by anybody are Partey and Zuma. They're just like at the top of the, you should get these guys lists. And everyone's just like, no. I'll get somebody else. I'll get Kilman or Johnny.
There comes a point though that 0.3 million just makes all the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the window. It is what it is. But yeah, as we get into plans going forward, I suppose for the forthcoming game weeks, as we've been saying, we only really need to consider up to game week 16, and obviously we've got that blank coming up in game week 12 for City and Arsenal. But yeah, we said to a couple of lads we'd have a chat about some possibilities going forward, some replacements we've got in plans, Chris, some transfer plans we've all generally got. As broad strokes, what are we all thinking over the next few? Are we all concentrating on that? I watched Burning Questions on Scout today, and like they were like they did put their ticket up and they just cut game week 12 out because their point of view was people are paying too much attention to 12. Can't see the forest for the trees. Everyone's just thinking, can I get 11 out in 12? Can I get 11 out in 12? It's like, no, look at game week 11, look at game week 13, look at those Wolves fixtures, look at those Spurs fixtures. There's more going on than just that game week 12, but it is hard to think about.
I'd look at those Spurs fixtures more than I'd look at those Wolves fixtures.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd look at who Wolves are playing. And then that's where you get a clean sheet.
No, it's the Forest game, innit? That's why they expect.
Unless you were getting Kilman or Ait Nori, maybe. I don't know if I'd really consider anything else out of that Wolves team. Even then, I'm not sure you'd use a transfer to get them in.
Yeah, probably wouldn't. Spurs probably somewhat, obviously, like say Son and Kane,
Yeah.
keeping an eye on them. Anyone's keeping an eye on him broadly, as far as.
I mean, from Spurs, Eric Dyer is somebody
Eric
I've
Dyer,
got in consideration. I've had him in my fan tracks team all season. I think as a solid into that Spurs defense, he plays every game. So you're not going to get the rotation risk as you do with the wing backs. And he's scored a goal already, so statistically he's probably not going to get another one. Two, yeah. So like statistically he's not going to get another one, but we'll see. I think Spurs are solid for clean sheets. So I mean, that's if you get him in, that's a solid 6 points. He's in my draft team as well. So yeah,
that Everton game could be a bloody 0-0, couldn't it? Because Everton haven't been conceding much.
Speaking of Everton, if you cut out 11 and 12, look at their 13 to 16. Crystal Palace, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth. I'm thinking if I need a cheap defender for those 4 weeks,
Patterson,
maybe Patterson might be back from injury at that point. You could get rid of Neco Williams and bring Patterson in.
Connor Cody,
Connor, exactly. Just for those 4 weeks, or even take a punt on Gordon or someone like that, or if Calvert-Lewin comes back and looks okay, something like that. But they're very good fixtures for those 4 weeks,
Yeah.
And again, look at Liverpool. I know we're writing them off, but fair enough. Get 11 out of the way, and then it's West Ham, Forest, Leeds, Spurs, Southampton. 3 home games out of 5 against lowly opposition. An away game against Forest. At the very least, you would want to have at least one Liverpool attacker, I think.
Yeah, I think if you can get Jota's price has dropped a bit, hasn't it, because of his injury? I think he's 8.8 or 8.9.
And he's the only one who can play on the left. If Diaz is out injured now, you wouldn't see Salah playing on the left. You wouldn't see Firmino playing on the left. So the left hand side is his position to play all those matches, really.
Yeah, definitely a consideration there. I mean, who are you had a few candidates, didn't you, Chris? You were going to talk about who should we have a look at first, as far as maybe look at the defensive options. Maybe people might be considering with
some people said people they were looking at choices between. So I did send you the messages. I don't know if you can the images.
I've got
to pull them up. So if you want to do the Gehi and Anderson one, first. So we've got the first image is the defensive. Stats. Is that defensive stats between them? Let me just double check. All right. So this is their attacking stats.
So which one do you want?
Which one we're looking at? Chances created. Yeah. So this is their attacking stats that you've got on. Oh, hang on. That's their comparison over this season. So the one you've got on screen at the moment. So both of them are underperforming their stats. So hang on, you've moved which slide?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know it's slow. So I move it and then it takes a few seconds for it to.
Right, okay. All right. So the one we're on at the moment is the.
I'll leave it.
Right. Okay. So this one is their attacking shots. Blue. So for people that are watching the stream, obviously not the podcast. Blue is Gehi and red is Anderson. As you can see, Anderson's attacking stats dwarf Gehi's stats. He's much more likely to have a pass in the final third. He's much more likely to make crosses. If you watch Palace, he's the one that plays it out from the back. He plays the long balls to the wings, so he's almost the assist to the assist man sort of thing in terms of how they're doing. He's also much more likely to be in the box for chances, which is obviously more corners and free kicks, that sort of thing. So if there is a chance of a defender scoring at Palace, it is Anderson that it kind of leans towards out of those two on there. If you just click onto the next one before it's gonna. So these ones are their defensive stats. So as you can see again, the red of Anderson vastly out numbers the blue of Gehi. Obviously their clean sheet stats and expected clean sheets are the same, but then everything else on there, their expected points, their actual points, and then their expected attacking points, which we've just seen on the previous slide, and then BPS is bonus points. You can see that the bonus points for Anderson are both expected to be higher than Gehi's, but they also are higher than Gehi's, sort of thing. So those both defensively and attackingly, Anderson over the same games. If you click on the final one for those ones, shows when you've got them stat for stat that Anderson is outscoring Gehi. They're both underperforming their expected ones. By this stage, Anderson's expected to have 24. He's got 21. But Gehi's expected to have 20 and he's got 12 points. So, there's he's underperforming by more sort of thing.
You look at that, Chris, and Gehi's not really getting past the halfway line, is he?
No, exactly. Yeah, he's a centre back that stays back. Whereas you can see there are more targets around the penalty area, particularly the penalty spot for Anderson. That's because he goes up for corners and he's a bit of a threat from them. So on that if you're, for me, I know a lot of the talk in the FPL communities has been that Gehi's the one to get in, but for me, Anderson seems clear that you're going to get the same defensive benefits from them, but there's much more likely to be a positive attacking result from Anderson than there is going to be Gehi. So,
is it worth the 0.2 difference though? Like, I think the main reason people chose Gehi over Anderson was he's 4.3 and Anderson's 4.5. So, like, is worth the extra 0.2 for the, the slight difference in attacking stats? You know what I mean? I could. I'd rather have the 0.2 at this point.
If you needed the money elsewhere. You could go for Gehi, but if you were just doing it, if you had the money for both and you didn't really need the money elsewhere, I'd go for Anderson. I'll most likely be going for Anderson when I'm getting rid of Trent. That's my current sort of plan. But for me, it's it's negligible with the price difference, but Anderson gives a slightly better attacking threat than Gehi does.
If you've got that money there. Yeah, that's the choice, isn't it? Makes sense. Who else we got?
So next up, we've got the Brighton duo Dunk versus Webster, which is, I think it's been talked about quite a lot already this week in certain places, and I think it kind of leans towards Webster. Most people have been saying, which I think we'll kind of see on here. So we've got the first line up on it. As you see, their stats. They play next to each other, so the stats are on the main like fairly similar. Dunk's had a bonus point, which obviously puts him ahead of Webster because it doesn't look like Webster's had one this year. But their expected attacking returns is much more in favour of Webster than it is than Dunk, because Dunk generally will just get you a goal from a corner. It's similar to Anderson, really, isn't it? Sort of thing. The next one's just their attacking stats, which is minute. Not really worth looking at. Is nothing really to discuss with that. They're both centre defenders, and they kind of have attacking returns of centre defenders, really. And then you've got the side by side. Again, both slightly underperforming the expected points. The one for Webster is probably slightly higher because he's supposed to be on 30 points, but he's on 22. Webster's supposed to be on 27.1. He's on 25. But as again, neither here nor there. You can see from the heat maps, Webster gets further forward.
Yeah.
That's about it, really. Has more chances in the box, has more shots, has more touches, more final third passes. So, if you're going to get an attacking return from him, you'd go there. So, really, you'd go Webster over Dunk.
And he's
but I think that's the other thing, isn't it? I think
he's 0.1 cheaper. He's 4.5, whereas Dunk is 4.6. And I think they're both nailed, aren't they? I think they're like, no matter what they'll play, whether it's a back four or a back three. I think he'd play them no matter what.
Guaranteed. Yeah, exactly. So I think for that one, it's kind of clear that you'd go Webster over Dunk. I think on that.
Chris, what about that Stupinan? Because I seen he got quite further forward last week against Tottenham. Would you think of chancing him? I know you had him.
Yeah, I mean, I went with him early. I've not got the stats pre-loaded. Let me just have a quick look just to see how they look. But I wasn't sure if he was playing all of the.
He's played the first two under the new manager. I know that because I nabbed him for the draft, so I've done a bit of reading on him. And he's played 75 minutes in the Liverpool game, 66. So he does get pulled off early, but again, that might
because they do have Tariq Lamptey. Don't they play the same position?
Yeah,
Or is that the other?
have that
Does he play the
Japanese
other
guy.
side?
They've that
Yeah,
Japanese guy.
he actually looked quite good when he came on.
Yeah,
I
he
did
got an
catch a
assist
bit of
against
that game.
Liverpool. Yeah,
Mm.
that's an IWC pick that's coming down the line.
Yeah,
What's his name? It's
definitely. Yeah.
he's not
We
even
always
on
get him
FPL.
first.
He's a midfielder actually. Mitoma. Watch out. They'll be talking about him before the end of the season. Mitoma.
It's coming.
There's a new name for the listeners now.
Yeah, I mean, a Stupidon doesn't look. I mean, there's not a lot of data to go off with him. I mean, he is quite attacking, as we've already seen. He gets quite far forward. He has already had. Did he got an assistant? I think 1 week.
He did. I think it was.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't go. I'd go Webster over him. I think.
Yeah.
At this stage, yeah. I think if you're looking at a Brighton defender, I'd go Webster. I'd probably go Webster over. I'd go maybe Webster over Gahey, and then you'd have to make your decision between Webster and Anderson. But that's me. But yeah,
there was something I kind of just because I'm thinking. I asked you to look up the Brighton guys, Chris, because I'm looking for a replacement for James, and there's no good like. If you look at the options are really slim for defenders at the moment. Like, would you go for Perisic when he's not nailed anymore? Probably not. Would you go for another Chelsea defender? Like, no. Like, we've no idea what Potter's preferred Chelsea defense is at the moment. If you didn't have Trippier, I'd say get on Trippier straight away because that's a complete no-brainer. But apart from that, you're starting to think, can I bring in budget players? And I was looking at bringing in Dunk or Webster because this week it's Brentford away, and then the real great one is Forest in game week 12. Surely to God, there's a chance of a clean sheet there.
Yeah,
and Forest are bad on corners as well. So you have those Brighton defenders getting up and getting their heads on corners might snatch a goal. And I actually looked, if you did have one of the Crystal Palace centre backs and a Brighton centre back, there's a really nice way you could rotate them as your third defender for the next until the World Cup. Basically, if you look so for 11 and 12, you'd play your Brighton defender. That's Brentford away, Forest home, and then you would switch to your Palace defender for the next. So then Brighton go Man City, Chelsea. So you don't want a Brighton defender for that. But Palace have Everton away, Southampton at home. Two very nice fixtures, two of the poorest attacks in the league. You know, you would be hoping to maybe get a clean sheet in one of those. And then for 15-16, you could switch back to your Brighton defence, and you've got Wolves and Villa. Wolves away, like Wolves, the poorest attack in the league. Villa don't look like scoring goals at the moment. So for two very cheap defenders for like under 4.5 each, you could rotate very nicely there up to the World Cup without having to go back in. And like, I was looking at Reece James. Is like, would you really want, like, look at his numbers in the last 4 weeks. Game week 5, 0. Game week 6, 1. Game week 9, 2. Game week 10, 1. So he's only scored 4 points in the last 4 weeks. And Chelsea's fixtures for the next are Villa away, which is okay. Then it's Brentford away, okay. Then it's United, Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle. How many clean sheets are they going to get in those 4? So, like, if you did want to sell on Chelsea, and like, you know, the money you can save by bringing in a cheaper defender, that's a very nice rotation to take you to the World Cup. And then if you want to bring him back in after the World Cup, go for him again.
You've got the free transfers,
you know?
So you're saying to resolve my issue with Reece James and Trent Alexander-Arnold, bring in Webster and bring in Anderson, and then I can just rotate in between.
And you've got, 3 million in the bank from that? More?
Yeah.
3.5.
Like
very
that.
nice little rotation there, yeah.
Yeah. Could be a good way forward, that. And then I wouldn't really mind taking the -4 this week or next to get that resolved. Yeah. Definitely a way forward. I think, as I say, I was probably bringing in Anderson anyway. I hadn't really thought of who to bring in for Reece James. So.
And it's not like the more expensive options. The other one I was thinking of was Eric Dyer as well, because you know he's going to play. But I was looking, like, in 9 games, Spurs only have 3 clean sheets, so they're not they're not as solid as you think, you know. So like it's like how many clean sheets would they get? And they've got some hard-ish games as well. So he's a safe option, but like if they don't get the clean sheet, the chances of him getting an attack, it's not like he's a wing back or a full back, you know. So,
no, yeah, that's the thing.
you know, so like, yeah, as I said, I think that's the way I'm going to go. Maybe take James out and bring in one of those two Brighton guys and just flip between the two of those for the rest of the rest of the quarter, you know.
Is there any argument, Chris, for the Chelsea lads? If we can figure out who's playing.
Well,
the problem, isn't it?
The bit in FPL terms is they've only got, I think, 5 defenders on that are fit on that you can buy in now, 5 or 6 anyway. So because obviously Fofana's injured and Reece James is flagged and that sort of thing. We kind of did these ones for Andy. So we've got although he's already made his decision, so I don't know what we did. We got Chilwell and Cucurella first because I kind of thought they'd be the guys that are most likely to play on the outsides. Kind of limited data, obviously, because Chilwell's been injured at the start of the season, and I couldn't quite remember when Cucurella left Brighton to go to Chelsea. I think it was before the start of the season, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean the data on there is already showing that Chilwell's a better asset. That's the attacking option, isn't it?
Yeah.
On there. So yeah. So obviously going forward, Chilwell's in a better position. He does generally play the wing back position. I think him and Cucurella kind of will split that sort of outside left role, won't they? I think for the most part. But yeah, at the moment, Chilwell. This is just obviously data from this year. Chilwell's in a better position there. Nothing hugely to write home about on the attacking side of things. It's just showing Cucurella's got a better crossing on there, so it's kind of a difficult sort of throw up, really, because I mean you look at the heat maps, they're both getting as far forward as each other when they're playing in that sort of role. Both kind of getting, I mean, Chilwell's over exceeding his expected points, but given the limited data, I don't think it's a huge thing to really write about. I kind of feel that Cucurella will probably play more of a central inside left role as opposed to playing on the wing back, given the limited options they've got. I think you'll probably be looking at Chilwell on the wing, so that might be something you'd look into. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing too much there. And then the other ones that I put up were Koulibaly versus Chalobah. And then Koulibaly's kind of got the, in terms of attacking, he scored a goal, and he scored that really nice volley from the corner. And then the times that Chalobah's played, they've got more clean sheets. Don't know if you can read much into that. And then defensively, yeah, they kind of equal each other, and then against one another, actually, you know, you can kind of see the lower figures are both kind of about where you'd expect them to be. So for the main part, they're kind of equal against each other. So with those two, I think you might as well just go for the price point if you can be sure that Chalobah is going to play as much as Koulibaly, which I think at the minute with the limited options they probably are. So if you were taking a flyer, you could do that, but it's a difficult one because I do think the Chelsea defense is a good one to get into, but I would think Kepa would be your best idea to get into that defense. If you didn't need to switch out a defender for somebody, and you could switch your keeper if it's Pope or whomever, I'd go for Kepa in net, and then, as we just discussed with James is saying, like that idea of having a Brighton and Palace rotation, I think that'd be a really good way to go for that. And then I think you've got a solid 3 there that will get you points until towards the end of the year, end of the half season.
And really cheap. Kepa's only 4.4.
Yeah. So I mean, you'd be looking 4.4 for Kepa, but 4.5 or 4.3 for a Palace defender, depending on which one you take. And then I think 4.6 for Dunk or 4.5 for Webster. So yeah, I think you could do some good work there. And I think it'd be quite solid. The keeper's probably the least of your priorities, unless you've already taken care of everything else. But I think that's a perfectly solid way to go.
It's a short run. This isn't for the rest of your season. It's only for 5-6 weeks. You know what I mean? So even if it doesn't go well, you're going to get out of it pretty soon anyway. And as I said, what are the expensive options? It's the list of expensive options that look better on paper are so small. You wouldn't take a Liverpool defender at the moment. You don't want an Arsenal. Like that's the only thing is after 12, you could maybe get back into the Arsenal defense, but they're not keeping clean sheets either. Like, no. And that's the thing. The thing about goalkeepers at the moment is a reflection of the fact that nobody's consistently keeping clean sheets. It actually doesn't matter who your goalkeeper is at the moment because nobody is making ground ahead of you on goalkeepers at the moment. There's the odd clean sheet here and there. If you have the money in it, like Andy does in Ederson, you're probably best off because he will.
He's the only one out of the the premium goalkeepers who's doing anything. Allison, you can't trust, and Mendy's not getting in now.
That's what I was going to say. I mean,
maybe, but
that's the thing. I mean, there is a chance, obviously, that Kepa loses his place back to Mendy, but Mendy's played the last. Kepa's played the last 5 under Potter, so.
And I think you predicted that as well, Chris.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but
he was waiting for you to say it, Andy.
Copy him the week after. That's what he's waiting for. That's what they do. Good stuff. Well, plenty of options to mull over. I think that's going to be the main thing people are going to be thinking about in these weeks, or at least this week going forward. But to get into our own plans, obviously there's 2 game weeks to worry about. What we'll start with looking at game week 11, and then we'll have a bit of a look at game week 12. Got you first, Jamesy, as far as your plans going forward. Haaland captain.
I don't care that it's Liverpool away. I think Liverpool away is actually at the moment a really good fixture for Haaland. I would be disappointed if there's not a bit of a haul there, to be honest with you. And in terms of plans, like before the injuries to Mitrovic and James, my plan was to take De Bruyne and Jesus out this week. Actually, I had always planned to do it in game week 12, but then I kind of realized if I could take out those 2 guys this week and use 2 transfers on them, bring in Trossard, which means he gets Brentford away this week, and then the really good Forest at home in game week 12, and becomes a captaincy option, I think. And then you have Harry Kane, and the benefit of bringing Kane in this week is Everton at home. That's really the standout fixture, I think, in the whole game week is Everton at home. If Haaland didn't exist, he'd be a great captaincy option. If you look at Kane's stats, in any other season that Erling Haaland didn't exist, Kane would be in everybody's team. He's literally returned in every single game week except game week 1. Now, he's not getting 12s and 15s, but he's 7s, 8s, 9s, all the way through. A goal or an assist every single week for the last 8 weeks. He's on penalties. Scored another one again the other night in Europe. Missed one, but that's good news that he missed a penalty in Europe, because that's probably the last penalty he'll miss this season. He'll go off now and take 1,000 penalties this week in training and get himself recalibrate his penalty taken and that kind of thing. So I think Kane is somebody people are sleeping on, and like my plan would have been, if I brought him in this week, just keep him till the World Cup, and sacrifice. There's so many good 8 million midfielders now that maybe you don't need to have all that money in De Bruyne or Salah. Keep a major chunk of that in Kane. You've got Foden, you've got Bowen, you've got Saka. So like you could have a nice midfield there of, 3 of those good 8 million midfielders, Kane and Haaland up front, bring Jesus back in soon after, and it would have been very nice. And then fucking James goes and hurts his knee during the week. Mitrovic is still kind of has this niggly injury, and now I don't know what to do, So my tentative plan at the moment is this week, James out, and execute that plan we talked about, bring in a Brighton defender. So I have the Brighton Palace rotation, roll the other transfer, and then for game week 12, then kind of think about things in the interim and decide. I have to get rid of 2 City and Arsenal players at that point. It's going to be KDB and Jesus coming out, because they're the ones I've least value built up in. don't know would I still do Trossard for the 1 week? I'm not sure. Would I still want Kane, given that I wouldn't be getting him for the good Everton fixture this week? Would I still want him for the other 5? I don't know. I haven't thought that far ahead, but I have 2 free transfers to play with. I'll kind of make that decision after the weekend and see how things go. So at the moment, the tentative plan is James out and probably Webster for 4.5 in. And that gives me a really strong budget to spend on the rest of the team, and then make my decision on who to bring in next week after this game week is over.
Yeah. I like the flexibility of it, and then you say game week 12 right Tuesday.
It's like it has to be a quick decision. You just have to keep. Someone will get injured again at the weekend. Mitrovic might end up being out, and then I might think, God, I have to get rid of Mitrovic this week, and I could just put James on the bench for a week and just play Guehi this week. Leicester away, not the worst fixture in the world, So it's all up in the air. I'll have to hear this press conference from Fulham tomorrow and see what's happening with Mitrovic, I think, before making any moves.
I like it. I like when the fixtures are this close together. I mean, it doesn't make real logical sense, but like it feels like you've got more transfers, if that makes sense. Like between now and the next time we record, you could theoretically make 3 free moves. So it'd be a different squad by next Thursday. So exactly. Looking good, mate. Andy, how about you? What have you done so far, and what's the plan?
So I'm only taking the -4 this week. I got rid of Ivan Toney. I know last week Fulham's press conference, he said Mitrovic more than likely will be back this week, so fingers crossed he is back. But I think looking at the fixtures, Fulham have got better fixtures than what Brentford have, and it looks a good option at the moment, Mitrovic. Especially if he's playing against Bournemouth. I know they've improved defensively, but it's the sort of game where Mitro think, we whoop these in the Championship, so get a couple there. I've got rid of Nico Williams just because he got pushed out of the team, and I had like 1.2 million over left in my bank, so I thought I'll put Cucurella in instead, but as we've discussed, it's like, God, you don't know who's really going to be in with Chelsea. And then the James injury this week, so has put the cat amongst the pigeons. So I'm happy. I'm happy with sticking Cucurella in. He can, after week 12, he can maybe go on the bench if he's not playing. But my plans for week 12, I was working this out earlier, was get rid of De Bruyne for maybe 2-3 weeks, and then stick it's either Trossard if I want to put money elsewhere, or put Salah in for 2-3 weeks. And it's not because he got 3 goals against Rangers last night, but that Notts Forest game looks a good fixture, and Leeds he always does well against.
It's that gambler's feeling, isn't it? Not just because it's you, Andy, but I'm feeling the same way. It's like, but surely Salah's going to come in. Surely it's going to land on red on this roulette table at some point. You know what I mean? It's like
great fixtures.
Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that.
And Foden. The thing is,
that's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
So go on, Andy. Sorry,
So I'm going to stick Salah in and then take Reece James out because of the fixtures he's got. And I looked at a cheaper option. I mentioned to Chris earlier about Joe Gomez, who's like the replacement for Trent at the moment. And so he'll have that run of 3 or 4 fixtures up until about 15 or 16. And, he set up a couple last night against Rangers, and he has been getting forward. He's cheap. So that's an option. And then when it comes to week 13, when obviously Man City return to action, I'm going to take out Zaha. My plan is to take out Zaha and put Phil Foden in. So I'll have Salah, Foden, Rashford, and Martinelli as my midfield, which on paper that's the word of the week. Tasty.
And there's the title. Nice one, Andy. Comes to the rescue again. But yeah, I'll just go through mine quickly. For me, that is not my team. Answer. There we are. Yeah, for me, I think you lads might have talked me into it. I think maybe De Bruyne down to Trossard becomes the move. It's one of them. I want Gross out, but not with Brentford away. And then, then they've got Nottingham Forest. It's going to look ugly with two Brighton midfielders in my team. But that's where I'm leaning at the moment. But not against the Salah idea, like Andy. Like I say, for all the shit we'll talk about them with those fixtures in a week where there's no City, there's no Arsenal. Natural captaincy option. I want to talk myself into one of the other Liverpool players, but there's reason to doubt all of them, isn't there? There's, will Firmino keep going? Will Darwin, start and do what he's been doing? There's that Jota, how's he? Salah's probably the safest of the lot, despite everything, and it would be typical FPL, wouldn't it, for him to bang on the week everyone else is off. So yeah, that's possibly my one, but I will be setting several alarms on my phone, and I will not be missing it. That's the main thing with me tomorrow. That's the most. I'm not going to be sat there on the weekend show with JP and both going to go fuck. It's not happening tomorrow night.
What is it? 6:30? Is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, 6:30.
Yeah, 6:30. Yeah, which is an early one, isn't it?
On a Friday, that's dodgy because you get home, you put the feet up, you're kind of relaxing, and like, fuck, I've got a deadline coming up. Yeah.
My only question is if we don't get more on James, is whether he sits there first sub still. But I saw him at the same spot on your team, Andy. I must want to start him just on the off chance he plays because Villa are shite. So we'll see.
I definitely think he's out tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's possibility for Wednesday, but not. I'd say tomorrow. Take it, he's not there. Yeah.
Okay. The thing I've done is like I've stuck him as like first defender just in case like Cucurella doesn't play, and then it can instantly come in like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's the thing. All the Indian knows is he's on 75% chance of playing on the FPL site, but they're not always on the money.
I never trust that. Yeah, it's like their fixture ticker. It's not to be trusted. Yeah.
No, those colours can be extremely misleading. But yeah, Chris, you sent over your screenshot there. It's kind of for you. It's a bit of you're still figuring what you're doing transfer wise going forward.
Yeah, I mean, having discussed everything. Now I kind of think I'm probably going to take the -4 this week because I've just been running it through FPL team. So I'll probably do Trent out for Anderson as it shows there, and then I'll do James out for Webster, and then next week will be Jesus out, and I could bring in Harry Kane.
Interesting.
And then the following week I can do Maddison out and bring in Phil Foden. And that kind of gets me to where I was. I mean, that puts me in a better position up top, I think, with Kane. But Foden over Maddison is what I was wanting for that week. So, bringing those two defenders down, Trent down to Anderson and James down to Webster opens up a lot of possibilities, really. And then obviously we've got, James did discuss, we've got the alternate switches during the fixtures. So that's my most likely sort of bit at the minute. As I say, I'll take Anderson over Gehi out of the two Palace defenders. I think Webster's the better option out of the two with him and Dunk. So happy for that.
You know what's going to happen, Chris?
Oh, Anderson will break his leg on.
No. whichever of the two Brighton centre backs you don't pick will score, and whichever of the two. Palace ones will knock one in from a corner. Yeah. You just know it's going to happen.
I'm not too fussed about that.
Have you thought of getting shot of St. Maximum yet? Because he's been injured, but he's not going to. There's better players out there for Newcastle in midfield. I know Bruno Guimaraes has turned up with 2 goals, and he seems to be a popular pick for people.
I mean, he only came back from injury last week, only got 15 minutes off the bench or whatever it was. So I'm happy to ride with him. He'll be first team. He'll be in the main team once he's fully fit, I imagine, next week. And they've got United, so not expecting a huge amount out of it. It was mainly just so that I got somebody that could play that week. I'm not overly fussed about that position.
He's got Everton. He's got Everton at home in 12 as well, which is a great fixture.
Yeah,
in the week you will definitely need him.
Yeah, Bruno Guimaraes as well is a very tough guy to nail down. He's very hit or miss. He overexceeds his XG quite a lot, which it means is he Son in that he always over exceeds his XG, or is he Maddison in that he's hot or cold? So he'll do something for one game week and he won't do anything for 6.
Because if you remember,
I think.
If you remember with him, he was like an option, in like week one when we were all like putting our teams together.
Well, tail end of last year, he had a really hot streak. He was doing really well, but again, he was vastly over performing expectations. So
the problem is where he plays. He ended last season playing as an attacking 8, so he was getting in the box all the time. And then he started this season playing as a 6, so he was the holding midfielder, and they were using his passing to kind of build out from the back, so he wasn't getting and I think that explains his inconsistency. And then lately they've been playing Longstaff in that position, and they pushed him forward again, and all of a sudden he's back scoring goals. But you have no idea long term whether he sees him as a 6 or an 8, and ultimately.
And I think if say Maximin comes back, that will push him further back down the field. Because he'll play further forward, won't he?
Yeah. Because I had him in the draft, and I was like, and he was just getting 2 playing as a 6. Sold him, got rid of him. I don't know who got him. And then all of a sudden gets moved to a fucking 8 and is getting 9. Did you take him?
He got me 15 points last week.
Yeah, 15 points. Yeah. And the week before returned as well, I think. Yeah. So that was one of my. I'm getting all the calls wrong in the draft at the moment. It's just none of it's going right.
Well, we'll have a little look at the draft in a minute. It's painful for me this week as well. But I was going to say, I mean, obviously, before we record next Thursday, there is the small matter of game week 12 happening again. Obviously, game week 11, we're all, uniformly captaining Haaland. Game week 12, though, no City, no Arsenal. It's been building up for a while. FPL is back, lads. We have to make a decision in game week 12. What are we going to do? Like, genuinely, anyone got any thoughts on who's the captaincy pick?
Well,
depends on the transfer, really.
Like Chris said, maybe like Trossard's an option for Brighton against Forest. Who's Villa got?
Villa.
Mitro, if he's around, that'll be one.
I like that.
For me, premium you bring in.
I was going to say, if I can get rid of Jesus and bring in Kane, I'll probably just captain Kane.
Who do they have?
Away at Man United, so
he can easily score
at least a hat trick there.
Yeah. Newcastle, would you captain? Would Newcastle have Everton at home? Would you captain Wilson? You probably wouldn't trust him to make it to the game.
That's the thing. You'll pull up in the wall or something, won't you? It's.
I mean, you'd have thought Salah would be the most obvious one if you've got him.
The more I think of it, Salah. And if you're spending the money on him, captain him.
That's it. If you've got a premium in your team, you've got to captain him. That's the whole point of having a premium, really. So I mean, it'd be Kane for me. I think if you've not got a premium that's playing, Trossard doesn't seem like the worst idea.
Danny Welbeck.
Like I always say,
some fucker will captain him and he'll score a hat trick.
No one wanted him in the draft. He was the last player sat there. He was like playing footy in the school playground and nobody wants you and you end up getting picked last. That was Danny Welbeck in our draft.
Danny Welbeck then.
We've all been there, mate.
Yeah.
But that's it. He's becoming a bit of an option, isn't he?
I mean, the thing is you kind of like, if Leicester versus Leeds, you're kind of like, Vardy, if you've got him, Daka
Maddison?
maybe, but you don't know what the team is, do you? Maddison will probably definitely play, so
Vardy's finished.
Yeah,
finished as a top.
I wouldn't.
It'll be split.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah, somebody will make a great decision. You'll see a lot of FPL content creators going, 1,000 likes on this tweet, and our captain
Dominic
Sam Billing, or Dominic Solanke, or something. It'd be like,
but it's a week to make gains if you call it right.
This is it. Yeah, this is where
it'll be a very low scoring week because I guarantee you, most of us will only end up with 9 or 10 on the pitch. Like players are going to get rested.
There'll be rotation.
There'll be rotation. There'll be injuries at the weekend. Your Neco Williams probably won't start. So it'll be a week of kind of 30, 40 pointers. And if you can nail your captain, you could make a very nice game this week. So the captain it's crucial. It's eliminated as a thing at the moment, captaincy. So it's actually really nice to have a week where there's a decision to be made and the person who gets it right will be rewarded,
Yeah, I mean, somebody will captain Mason Mount and he'll go off against Brentford or something stupid. It could be like
oh, that team of the week. Whoever's got the team of the week, whoever's like the FPL manager of the week or whatever they word it, it's going to be someone who's done something daft. They've triple captained.
It'll be weird.
Yeah, it's happening. But yeah, does like you said, James, he makes things a bit more interesting. And yeah, if you are one of the people who's low down in the ranks, it could be the perfect week to make some ground and prove yourself. But yeah, quickly we'll have a look before we go at as we always do, the league tables and where we are. But we have to have a little look at the draft. Unfortunately for me, horrible week for me. Me and bloody Jordan, 36-38. Just about picked me there. It was one of them. It was another one of those going into the last game. I had Coutinho. Of course, he did nothing. Not sure why the points aren't showing up there, but he didn't show up in real life either. And he honestly, I had him to go, and he had nobody left to play, and all Coutinho had to do was literally an assist, a goal. I don't know, like a 2 bonus points.
A clean sheet would have done it for you. 3 points. Yeah.
I think they're still averaging less than a shot on target a game or something, aren't they, Villa?
They're
something ridiculous
crap.
Like that.
They're awful. They're the worst team to watch in the league at the moment. They are. I've watched them twice in the last week, and desperate.
Killed me off. But yeah, Jordan's where he is in the draft league for a reason, so I can't cry too much. Just looking there, Chris, you knocked Gareth off his
big
good work, Chris. Good work.
Yeah, I was quite happy with that. Yeah, it was my draft team almost did as well as my proper team. I went big on Chelsea, so if they didn't keep a clean sheet, I was done for. But
I did the same. Yeah, I did Chelsea defenders, and then he dropped one of them.
Yeah, Kepa in net, Koulibaly, Cucurella. I had Havertz on the bench, and he actually finally scored, which was. But we said it before. Defense is the big thing in draft because you don't get the bonus points and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you can get the clean sheets, then you're all right. And I'm quite happy at the minute having 2 Palace defenders, 2 Chelsea defenders, and Dyer in there. And I didn't even make a transaction and request this week because the team is kind of set for where it is now. I think for the next couple of games, Bruno obviously came in with the 2 goals. Odegaard did well. Jesus got the assist sort of thing.
You had Havertz on the bench there as well, like you say. Yeah.
It wasn't too shabby this week. So, and Joe Linton as well has been turning over in this sort of fixture. So this is next week. This week I've got Matty, which is a big one because if I lose it, he's kind of like the gatekeeper to the top end of the league at the moment. So if I lose it, it's a 6-point gap to get into the mix. If I win it, then I'm in it, sort of thing. It's a big one for me this week, and it's Haaland against Liverpool, and I'm kind of like, we'll see how it goes. But it'll be a fun one I think this week. So we'll see how that goes. But,
could happen.
Yeah, because Matt is 16. So because me and you are on 13. And so's Will, and so's Chris Elliott, sort of thing. So if I can win it, I'm on 16, and then I can kind of go from there. If not, I'm 6 points back, which is always a rough one to overturn. But...
Connor's in the chat there saying his comeback's on. Watch your back, Jamesy.
I know. Points difference is keeping me off the bottom at the moment. It's a disaster. Yeah.
Who did you have this week? Who was it?
Matty.
It was Matty, right?
And I had it. He only got 6 points out of Haaland, so I had a chance. Like if Haaland goes off, you're beaten straight away. But it came down to the Monday night match. I needed 18 points from 3 Villa players. I foolishly thought I had a chance, but sure, no hope. Honestly,
hope. I can't get over. I just can't get over the my one. I just think Coutinho just needs to be Coutinho. He's not the same player anymore. I even watched it. That's how much I was into this, and it was just like I heard someone else say it's like those players are scared right now. Like Gerrard's got them all. Like just pass it sideways. Don't do anything. Don't show off that you're actually a good player anymore.
He knows his job is right on the line. So he's terrified himself. Yeah,
it's awful. It's awful. How about you, Andy? How was you? Getting on this week, where are you?
Beat Will by 2 points.
2-pointer. Oof, what happened there?
So that was all hanging on the Aston Villa Notts Forest game. So Will had Henderson left in net for Forest, Tyrone Mings and Ashley Young. Ashley Young scored, and he also got the bonus points.
That's what year is it?
Yeah,
Ashley Young, 11 points from Ashley Young.
So yeah, I think
how old is he now? He must be about 45.
34, Ashley Young now.
Wow.
So the thing is,
Actually,
I had one.
not so young.
Yeah.
Did you beat him, Andy?
Sorry.
Did you
so
beat
I had.
Will?
Yeah, I did by 2 points. So I had one.
He left
I had
Solanke on the bench. He would have bet you.
No. So I had one player left in the Villa game, which was Konza, and he got booked. So I only got 1 point there. So I basically beat him because I had Mendy, who was the Chelsea keeper. He didn't play. So my saving grace Neto from Bournemouth for 3 points.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable. And obviously I had Darwin on bench, but he wouldn't have mattered. But Saka and Martinelli, they're the lads. Love them.
Akanji as well as a shrewd pickup now. Yeah.
Akanji's done really well for me.
He's been playing right back a bit as well, so he's getting up.
Yeah, I was going to touch on it earlier with Cancelo. It's Akanji's kind of like letting Cancelo go forward. We've been discussing him playing inverted winger sort of thing as a defender. It feels like he's getting much more forward.
So what I've done this week is I've stuck Akanji on the bench. So what I've done is I've got 3 Brighton defenders in my defence. I've got Veltman, Dunk, and Webster as my free defenders.
I saw you released Zinchenko for the Wild, mate. I was keeping an eye on that one. I was like, maybe after the black.
I did look at the transactions on our league, and Kilman was on defence, and I was like, I do fancy Wolves to maybe get a clean sheet this week.
I got rid of Zinchenko. I got rid of Zinchenko because he just seems to be getting injured a lot at the moment. And Tomiyasu had a very good game at weekend, so it's not looking like he'll get back in once he's fit.
I'll throw out there.
Webster's sharpish, Andy.
Oh yeah, in the transaction.
After the trades were done, you went straight in because I went looking for him and I was like, "Where's fucking Webster?"
Oh no, I did. No,
Andy got him.
Like I said earlier, as soon as the game updates, I'm on there. So.
I didn't get on it because I was going straight for him because I saw that no one had got him and I was like, fucking Andy got him ahead of me. So I got a Stupinan instead, so I'm not too unhappy. It'll be all right.
Yeah. I was looking at I was going to be like Luis Diaz obviously is going to be out now, isn't he? Until basically until the next part of the season. I was going to make a cheeky offer to some people for him, see if I can get someone out of him. Like, if someone's got like a low level player who they could do without, would they take Diaz in their squad to just hold on to him till January? That's what I'm thinking. Saying that he'd probably just go in free agency and it'll just.
I might talk to you, Benno, about that.
Okay, all right. Might be a chat there. Got someone. Yeah, it's an open field. Do
you want
I'm in a relegation battle. I need some signings for the end of the season.
Got to get the fans on board.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I brought Ronaldo in. Bring some houses into Milo. Sell some tickets.
Week 12 was going to be a lottery though, because if somebody has a heavily Arsenal or City team and you get them in that game week, you could just have a stroke of luck. And
I've got 3 Arsenal, but no City. So
I've got one of each. Yeah,
I'll have 3 in that, so 2 Arsenal and 1 City. But I can just plonk them on the bench.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Yeah, but this is the thing. Big draft interest. No captaincy, none of that. And the people who are sitting on your Haaland, your Jesuses, people like that. It's not as straightforward as in regular FPL. You've got to carry them, haven't you? Because otherwise, some can't pick them up next week. So that might make the difference in a couple of games this week. But this week will come out. Me and Connor are playing. Apparently, he's picked up Kilman this week for the clean sheet.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
See how that goes. Gareth,
you have to beat him for me, Benno. Keep him down there now, Jesus. It's getting bad.
Get out of his table obscurity.
Top versus second, Gareth and Jordan.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's a big one, isn't it?
Jordan goes top. We've all been talking about Gareth. Jordan's right there with him.
6 points of that. Yeah, look at that. Same record, pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah, we've all been praising Gareth, and Jordan's just been quietly beating everybody and right up there behind him. And Eddie, look at Eddie, 19.
Eddie's in the mix. We'll need to get Eddie on here. I'll give him a shout for one of the weeks coming up. Yeah, that's it. Eddie's got Will this week, so there you go. 3 points for Eddie. JP's got you, Jamesy.
Poor old William.
And Matty's got Chris Lennon there as well. But yeah, game week 12 will be on us very quickly as well. GRAPPL Derby, me and Gareth that week. Looking forward to that one. JP and Chris. Yeah, Jamesy, you got Will that week. So yeah, plenty to play for. I'm glad to see everyone engaged. It's great when you look at the transactions list and you see like there's been pretty much everyone's in the market, aren't they? Yeah, that's it. Worst thing in the world when people don't engage in these things. So yeah, very happy with that overall. But yeah, the GRAPPL League itself should bring that one up as I load it up on screen. The drum roll here, because I actually haven't looked to find out if Jamesy is on top. Oh, where am I? I'll bring it up. Leagues and cups. There we go. I'm in far too many leagues for my own good. Oh, Jamesy, down to fifth. That's happened, mate. What's going on?
Look, someone got 97 points. Adam, I don't know if anybody knows him.
Yeah, no, Adam. Yeah, Adam.
Look at that for a game week. It's 97, and then there was an 88 as well.
Oh, is our Romanian friends?
The Romanians still top.
He triple captained Ireland.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
big listener.
Wow, look at that. 18.
That means I can catch him later in the year. Then that's good.
He's just had a good squad.
Oh yeah, Dan Duke.
He's had people like Almir on as well that nobody else would have, and that's shot him right up there. Like
yeah, I've been meaning to highlight Adam's team. Adam's a keen listener who we've met a few times. Came to our live show. 97 points for him for the week. Wow. He's definitely in the run in there.
Adam, I've seen like 90s and 100. I think he had like 100 like the week before that.
Jordan's in the mix. Jamie's in there.
Of course he is. There, we need to get him back on. Yeah, he can teach us something. Tell us what to do.
I managed to perfectly stay 140th. I didn't go up or down. I just stayed in the exact same position.
The favorite grey arrow.
That's it. So my aim is to get back into the top 100 at some point. I think I'm only a couple of spots behind Andy at the moment.
I'll take that. You need to do, Chris, top of the Hoolans.
You need to pick someone, Chris, and aim for him. And just out of pure spite inspire you to get after them.
I want to beat every Houlihan in the game.
Take him down one by one.
Exactly.
like some kind of a movie.
Like a bad action film, yeah.
We need to find out JP's sister's account because she's on there too. She's not a Houlihan, but technically she is. Right. So you need to beat her as well.
Wilson's 60.
I was going to say Chris Wilson, solid number 60. Blaine 64.
Rob Reed is usually in the mix as far as the top of the league goes.
Professional gambler, isn't he?
Yeah. Surprised to see him.
Good with the figures
down there. Yeah, shocking. Should we go to the bottom?
I've got to beat Joe Averton. He's a Blackpool fan, so got to be over him.
Got to be done. Yeah, let's go to the bottom of the league. Who's sitting pretty at the bottom? Oh, that's rough. You got Red Arrow for Martin.
He's got Holland.
Oh, what? Don't listen to us, Martin. We don't know what we're talking about. Don't listen to our advice.
We need to get you on, Martin. That's a good team.
Captain De Bruyne. Yeah, it's a. Yeah, you look at that squad. It's not a bad squad.
He must have taken a hit though. He took it. Why? He took a -4.
Yeah.
Shea Adams. You need to get him out.
Yeah. Get the coolest.
The back four is quite weak, isn't it?
Kulisev's to him.
We'll do that.
Bad week. Apart from that, it's not too bad, is it?
We'll have to get him on. We'll have to get him on and do a bit of surgery.
Yeah, we need to sort that defense out and maybe that goalie situation out as well for him. But like Roberto Carlos still propping up the bottom there. But yeah, no other big names that I see there. But yeah, we'll hopefully get Martin on at some point. Connor's in the chat. They have to get Connor on one week as well. He's asking other Houlihan's all next to each other in the league, pretty much. Yeah, they're all right on top of each other. Yeah, they got their own little mini league, haven't they? Where it's like the four of them just battling it out. I used to like me and my mates had a mini league. It was just me and him. It was like, what's the point? Like, really win, Should have done it head to head and just done it for 38 weeks. See what happens.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, also play well forward there with the GRAPPL League there. But yeah, I know the money is at stake in the draft, so yeah, there's plenty to play for there. But yeah, anything else, lads? Anything we haven't covered today?
No, I think that's about everything.
That's it.
Will the game week be ongoing when we're on next Thursday night? It probably will be.
It will, yeah.
Yeah, it's all on Prime TV.
Oh, is it? Is it one of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did see the logo before. Yeah, that's it. So there's the start on Tuesday. So yeah, like I say, don't miss that 6:30 deadline on Tuesday. A lot of the games on Wednesday, and then Thursday when we're recording. Leicester Leeds will be ongoing. So yeah, if anyone's got any Leicester players, captain one, and we can talk
Triple captain Madison.
Yeah.
Me's the main one Thursday.
Yeah, that could be dramatic, couldn't it? That's the thing about me as well. I was going to say, Andy, with the fixtures coming up this week, it's like Brentford playing the 8 o'clock on Friday game tomorrow night. I can't go without Tony because it means I've got a excuse to watch the game. So you know,
need a bit of interest.
You need that, don't you?
Like I've got them 3 Brighton defenders in my draft team. I'll be like, come on, get a clean sheet, 18 points.
That's it. But yeah, we got plenty to consider. I think Chris's phone has died, so we'll call it there. Follow Chris on Twitter at GreatBashHeel. Jamesy, anything you want to plug?
No, just my Twitter at Jamesy_2015. That's about it.
Brilliant. Andy?
Just follow me at OggiePart3 and also patreon.com/GRAPPL and download the app. There you go.
That'll be proud.
Beautiful.
But that's it. Yeah, we'll be back next week. 2 game weeks to talk about. Lots going on. There'll be lots of movement in the league. But yeah, thank you as always for tuning in, folks. We will catch you again next week.
As Pilaquetta.
Cheers all.